arrived at the moment we've all been waiting for. Guys, it's House Divided on a Friday, Championship Friday. There's a championship game tonight. Playoff spots on the line. I'm Jeff Ketchum. Don't call me Boo. That is Chad Hastings. You can call him Boo. We're going to be with you for like the next 3 hours. You can call me Boo too, technically. I won't get too upset. Just don't call me Kirk Bowles. Someone called me Kirk Boo Bowles earlier today, which was like a double shot power. I actually kind of respected it. Come on in. The water is warm. Welcome into the Specs chat. Please, by all means, send us your super chats. We're going to have a big, full, compact show. We're going to be talking Texas and Oklahoma State. We'll be talking about all of the championship games this weekend. We will be talking about playoffs. Yes, the playoff. Whatever the hell this discussion has been this week, Chad, and really for the last month, it's going to be over in less than 48 hours. We are at the moment of truth where teams put up or shut up. You go out and win your conference championship. See where the marbles lay when this thing's all said and done. But I've had like a little extra shot of juice all day long today, Chad. I've been in a good mood. I've been wanting to talk football. I've been excited about Washington and Oregon tonight. Like I'm looking more forward to that game than what was actually a pretty interesting Thursday night football game last night between the Cowboys and Seattle. If all of the Thursday night games were as entertaining as that game was last night, we'd never complain about Thursday night football.
Yeah, how about the highest scoring primetime game combined all year in the NFL? That's what we got out of Thursday night last night. And if you didn't care who won or lost, you just got to sit back and be pretty damn entertained by Geno Smith and Dak and the whole deal. I'm sure we'll get into a little bit of that one. Remember, for everybody coming in today into the Specs chat, the big difference between this guy over here and the actual Boo is this guy will answer your questions. This guy will give you.
You may not like the answers, but I'll answer.
Right. You might not like the answer. He will give you an actual clear answer to a clear question, unlike Boo, who tomorrow on Sunday will be on full display at about 11:15 they'll announce. So I'm guessing somewhere between 11:15 and 12 before NFL kicks off, they'll throw him on that show and he will ramble and distract and deflect like nobody's business unless the undefeateds all win. And then I guess he'll just smile. But we will answer any of that today. We'll continue to discuss it. Ketch, it is the conversation that won't go away for, I know, a lot of Longhorn fans. And I think we hit the core of it yesterday. It's about feelings. Was that Streisand that sang Feelings? Nothing more than feelings. That's what this is.
I have no idea. I don't know how I know that song, but I don't know why. I don't know who sings it.
I think, here's why. Somebody can tell us in the chat. I'm not big on musicals. I want to say that song's in a famous musical. Y'all let me know if I'm right on that. But I think the song Feelings. I think Feelings is a part of a musical, and I'm just not into the musical. But that's what this is about. Texas fans have feelings about it. I totally understand, Ketch, because it is an excitement they have not gotten to feel yet. They haven't been in this conversation. And the craziest part is that they are on the precipice of a 12-1 conference championship season that might still leave them out. We couldn't have predicted that, but it's crazy. Ketch, think about it. Today's 12-1, and tomorrow Texas tries to be 12-1 and beat Oklahoma State.
The people want the shirt. Do I need to? Here's the thing.
Wow, you're not wearing the shirt.
But I thought that stopped being a thing. I think they lost to Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's true. I think the shirt maybe went. I think the shirt did go away. What if we do this? What if you agree to have the shirt ready in the morning just in case things get.
No, I mean, the thing would be to wear it today. So here's what I'll say.
Okay.
If it's that important, it's in a bag to go to the draw. I don't know how wrinkled it is.
Okay.
But I'll go put it on. I didn't realize that we were still doing the lucky shirt thing.
See, Paxton jumps in and says shirt not a thing anymore. That's what I thought.
South End Zone Queen mentioned it earlier today.
Mark says we need the shirt. Onward still has the stash.
Okay, so let's do this.
All right.
Let me just remind everybody. Here's what I'll do. Blake, go ahead and put the Rogue vote up.
Oh, yeah. It's got to vote Rogue.
We are trying to do a solid for our boy Richard and the gang over at Rogue Shop. Scan that QR code. It'll take you to a vote. Vote for Rogue. It takes like 5 seconds. Seriously. You push Rogue, and then you're done. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to fill out anything. You can only vote once. So it's not like you can stuff the ballot box. Scan the QR code. Vote for Rogue Shop in this contest that they're in. And I'll go put on the shirt. I'll go put on the shirt. So it's that simple. I'm not seeing anybody. I'm not seeing QR codes being. There's one. All right. When we get like 4 more QR codes scanned for the Vote Rogue Shop, I'll go put on the lucky shirt that I'm not so sure is lucky. Here's what I won't do, though, Chad. I'm not going to listen to people who are like, why does he have Oklahoma State orange on? Because every time I put the shirt on,
it looks like somebody else's color.
I allegedly am supporting a new college.
Hey, I think there's one thing we can all agree on. That shirt, if anything, is not Oklahoma State orange. That shirt's about as far from Oklahoma State orange as possible. So how many do you need? How many scans do you need?
We need a few.
Okay, because that was 4. I just saw 4 pop up.
Okay, so one more.
One more. We need one more scan.
And I want more people than 5 to go vote for Rogue. But that will be the thing that triggers the lucky shirt.
Just to make sure. And yeah, Mark's asking about lucky shirt. Yeah, Mark, early in the season, when Ketch wore this shirt on a Friday, it felt like it was good vibes for Texas. Then the Oklahoma game happened. It kind of faded off, but now some fans.
No, what happened, Chad? You're telling the story wrong. I wore it the week of Alabama. And everybody claimed it was Alabama's colors.
That's right.
And then when they beat Alabama, it was like, well, that's the lucky shirt.
And then it has to happen. Right.
That's the shirt that beat Alabama. And then we rode the lucky shirt vibes on Fridays all the way to Oklahoma. I did wear it for the Kansas State game, but I did also wear it for Oklahoma. So we've got the vote. There we go. So here's what I'm going to do. Chad, hold down the fort.
Gotcha.
I'm going to go find the lucky shirt, which is in a pile of clothes headed to the cleaners.
There you go.
I have no idea how ragged it looks, but I will be a team player.
You will get, okay, we've already gotten a super chat in. I'll hit that in some chats. You get changed and come back, and then we'll hit it. Ketch is getting that shirt ready to go. Let me start with this super chat. Thank you to the North Remembers 99, $4.99. Is there a player who isn't in Portal Combat? Portal Combat coming your way at 12:40 that you think should leave their current situation? Oh, that's interesting. A player who isn't in Portal Combat that you think should leave their current situation. It's interesting. I'm going to think on that one. North. North Remembers. A name's not popping into my head immediately. In today's Portal Combat, we will be talking about another talented quarterback out west who jumps in the portal. But outside of that, I can't think of one right now. Another super chat already in. Texas TV, $4.99. Have you heard about Rodemaker being in concussion protocol and that Brock Glenn may start? I have not heard about that specifically. I know there's been discussion about Rodemaker since that game of how much was he affected and what was he really going through after the game. It felt like he was able to come back in the game pretty quickly. I'll still say that both those guys hitting him, it didn't feel like he took massive contact to the head right away. But there are those that also watch that game and they're like, no, man, his eyes roll back in his head. That kid was silly. And they need to really take a look at it. So there's been discussion, and people have said Tua's name when talking about him. Don't know if it's that kind of situation. But obviously, if you're a Texas fan, that Florida State-Louisville game is interesting on every level, and that's going to be another part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, the shirt is on.
It's
That's
wrinkled. It's
okay.
a wrinkled shirt.
We can't see wrinkles. No problem. We don't see wrinkles. We just see that. Ketch, this is the second super chat. Have you heard anything?
Hold on. I cannot believe we've come full circle, or not even a full circle. It's like a 180. We've gone from Ketch, you have to take that freaking shirt off. We hate it. Never wear that shirt. I had somebody tell me they canceled their Orange Blood subscription and was never going to watch our show again. Seriously.
Wow.
Canceled their sub because they felt like I was wearing either Aggie colors or OU colors.
As long as they're being sensible.
And they were like, I'm never participating again because you wore that shirt. And here we are on the eve of the Big 12 championship. And everybody wants this.
Do you know why? Do you know why? Feelings. Nothing more than feelings.
They sing this all day long?
They didn't know they were going to be feeling these things, Ketch. They didn't realize it. They didn't think they'd be 11-1 and need help. They didn't think they'd be 11-1 and getting disrespected by the committee. They didn't think that.
By the way, do you know who is the singer of that song?
I don't. My guess was Streisand.
Morris Albert.
Of course. The old Mo Albert tune. The big dog, Mo Albert. I don't know. I thought it was from some musical or famous thing that I've never seen.
In 1975, it peaked on the Billboard Hot 100 at number 6.
Damn. Okay. Fair enough.
You thought that was like from a musical. That was somebody's edgy pop song.
That's awesome. I thought it was going to be one of those where it's like, no, Chad, that's from Rent or Cats or West Side Story or just one of those things that like or Oklahoma or something where I go, oh, no, that's it. And I just didn't know. But there you have it. So, Ketch, have you heard any?
Sold 1 million records.
That's awesome. It doesn't surprise me it sold that much because, again, it's in our heads and we didn't even know who sang it. Like, it's just a big-time song. All right, Ketch. So this super chat asking about Florida State's quarterback. Have you heard anything about Rodemaker being in concussion protocol? Because I know there's a lot of talk after that hit he took against Florida.
I mean, Florida State reporters are saying that hasn't been the case, that he's fine and he's going to start on Saturday. There's no question that there's like an underground. We had somebody on Orange Blood say, hey, don't ask me where my source is from. But it's a good source from Florida State on the football team in the program. They're going to their third string quarterback. But I heard Onward do an interview earlier today with, one of the reporters from the Rivals site that covers Florida State, in the sense is that no, Rodemaker's going to play. I don't know. I'm at a point now. I have 3 thoughts on Florida State. Thank you, Texas TV. By the way, I will get back to your most recent message to me. I promise. Mm-hmm. He sent me a DM. Number 1, it sucks that this is happening to Florida State. If we could remove all of our own biases out of the way, imagine you're Florida State and you've won not just all of your games this season, but you got like a 1.5 year long win streak going. You haven't lost since early October last year. Like, I mean, I don't even remember when the last loss was. Yeah. You had the guts to take on LSU on a neutral field and beat their brains in by 21. You tackled the Clemson thing, which was a major hurdle. You had to get over Clemson, and whether or not it kind of reminded me of Texas OU in 2005, that Clemson thing where it's like you had to beat them. They've navigated the ACC. They've gone undefeated. They had the bad luck of having an awful quarterback injury, which Texas fans know about. And like, they're still undefeated, but it feels like they're hanging on by a thread. Yeah. My number 1 thought today is I do have some compassion for Florida State. Like, I do. Like, there is a part of me, small, itty bitty. There's a part of me that's like, I hope they win, because like it'd be a messed up way for your season to be derailed. Yeah, by the quarterback injury. Just doesn't feel fair.
Yeah, and think about their fans too. That's also a chance for them to really show the country how well they did replacing Jimbo. Like, how excited must they be about that Norvell choice and what it's, developed into? That's just got to be big. But you know what, Ketch? If the pattern holds and their third string quarterback plays tomorrow night, you know what the score is going to be, right? 59-0. They're just going to boom.
Okay, so my number two thought. Fuck no.
Okay.
If he dies, he dies. Like,
oh, come on.
If that's because look, I don't mean to be selfish.
It's just a movie reference, by the way, if anybody wants to get really sensitive.
No, Rocky IV.
Rocky IV, just in case kids, Rocky IV, remember.
Look it up. It ended the Cold War.
Yes. You can change. Well, I can change.
I'm a little worried that our viewers, these lovely people in the Specs chat, that on Monday, they will have all collectively and metaphorically jumped off of a bridge. Because the word has kind of leaked out that if Texas doesn't make the playoff, that it could be a Cotton Bowl against Missouri that awaits the Longhorns. And Texas fans want no part of that. No part of that.
That does not shock me at all.
I asked on a scale of 1 to 10 on Anwar's show earlier today.
Yeah.
How excited would you be at the idea of Texas, Missouri in a Cotton Bowl? And on a scale of 1 to 10, almost everything was below a 3.
Yeah. Ketch, you threw out the idea of Texas Ole Miss in a Cotton Bowl on this show, and I saw a chat that said -32. I mean, they were not thrilled at all at that prospect.
So I know it's selfish, but if we need Florida State to unfairly lose to Louisville in the ACC championship game for there to be 500 people watching the show next Tuesday, okay. Okay.
Right.
And I feel for you, Florida State, but you are in our way.
And it's, this is the thing that's been set up. This is the whole thing for Florida State fans, for Texas fans, for all these. Like, Florida State fans need to know, Ketch, that if they have to go to their third string quarterback and if they win 17-16, they may not go to the playoff. They need to know that. They do. Because you knew it was a pageant when you put the sash on. Don't bitch about a pageant that you signed up for because they're giving you this. Like, we have all this stuff. How about this one real quick? This is a chat. It's true. The fact that Boo rambles and doesn't really say anything tells you everything about how valid the committee's ratings are. Plethora, that's just you using the word valid to make yourself feel better. We all agreed that whatever they're going to tell us is valid. That's all. That's the agreement. That's the agreement. Like, don't act like it's some criminal activity all of a sudden because it might leave your team out. We all agreed to this. All 10 conferences agreed to this for now. And next year, thank God, we're going to do something a little more sensible. But don't act like it's all designed to screw you. It's not. It's just designed to produce 4 things when it should be producing 5 or more. That's it. That's all it is.
Can I just give an attaboy to Plethora of Pinatas for loving a 36-year-old movie so much?
Yeah.
It's not just their avatar. It's their name.
Right.
Blake, come in real quick. Remind us all how old you are.
I turned 25 on Sunday.
Oh, didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Feels like a sneaky way for us to treat you nicely. Just say
Happy
your
birthday.
birthday's coming up on Sunday every week. My turn, 25 on Sunday.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the movie Three Amigos?
Yes. It's been a long time. I watched it when I was younger. Maybe, 10 years ago.
Okay.
Nice.
He's 25. I watched it when I was younger.
I
Go
watched
When I
away,
was a
youngin.
child.
Okay, hey, that makes me feel good about America and the state of these youngins that they have seen the all-time classic Three Amigos. I was a little worried though that Plethora of Pinatas was so dated that me, Chad, and him knew what that was, and that everybody else was,
No, I
maybe
got
not
you. I
as
got
dialed
you.
in.
Yeah,
I
and
can
for the
catch the
record,
Amigos reference.
For the record, Ketch, we haven't discussed it today, but I think you'll agree with me. Mount Rushmore of all-time movie villains. Darth Vader, the Joker from Dark Knight, El Guapo, and then the other one's up for grabs. I mean, that's really the list, right?
El Guapo may be the most underrated
Come on.
cinema treasure of all time.
I thought he was so evil, I thought he might literally slaughter the Three Amigos halfway through that movie. I was afraid. I was.
It's a sweater.
Can I give you number 4? Anton Chigurh is an all-time movie villain from No Country for Old Men.
Ooh, that's one I've not seen. I need to see that movie.
Oh, you gotta watch it.
Need to check No Country for Old Men.
It's only regarded as maybe the number one movie masterpiece of the 21st century.
By the way, y'all be proud of me. I started Dr. No yesterday. One of my goals for the next few days is to watch the original James Bond. I've now seen the first scene James Bond was ever in. Sean Connery. I'm enjoying it so far. Good looking ladies, well-dressed men drinking fancy drinks, saving the world. I'm in.
Sometimes it's a little misogynistic though, and
no, how dare you?
James Bond? Some of these ladies might catch a backhand, and it's like, whoa.
If you're going to tell me that the first scene between James Bond and Moneypenny, when he sits basically in her lap, kisses her on the forehead, and breathes softly on her head while they're discussing saving the world, if you're going to say that's misogynistic, I say, how dare you, sir?
How dare I, indeed.
How dare
by the way, I kind of just want to make you stop that movie now and put No Country for Old Men in. And that's the thing about you, Chad. You and Sukamel both do this. You'll admit I haven't seen The Following.
Mm-hmm.
And then before you can see The Following, you reveal that there's something else that you haven't seen. And so then it just constantly makes me want to interrupt all the things that you need to be watching because there's a new thing that you haven't seen that I want you to watch.
It's an infinite list.
Chad was walking to that movie, and then he said he'd never seen Beverly Hills Cop. Good Lord. No, I've seen that one. I'm just kidding. Not that one. But
I will say, in regards to movie references, I was going back and forth with the chat in relation to Office Space references during the Football with Friends show yesterday and how worthless Boo Corrigan is. Now he would be one of the guys fired.
Can I give you my...
what would you say you do here, Bo? Or Boo, whatever. Boo.
Boo. Don't make bows everywhere start sweating because you're confusing Bo with Boo.
Yeah.
I've had a movie reference in my head all day long. Chad, by now, and for those of you in the chat, I'm sure you've now seen at least pictures of the Longhorn steer in Stillwater that ends up in a frat house front yard, a dead Longhorn. If you haven't seen it, it's pretty awful.
Yeah.
It really is. It's awful and it's confusing. It's confusing if it really is related to this football game.
It has to be.
Oh, it has to be.
For those of you that didn't hear the particulars of it, so it was found in front of this frat that is called the Farmhouse Frat, and on the body of this dead Longhorn steer, beautiful, like a white Longhorn. You cow folks can tell me a variety, but it's just beautiful animal laying there dead on this lawn. It says "fuck FH" on the side of this animal, and they have cut its stomach out, from what I understand. You can see a big, a scar. It's got to be a foot, 2 feet long. It's just morbid and weird and strange. And I would be glad, fellas, to admit that this is probably some dumbass prank that went too far if it was in Austin. Why is this in Stillwater? Why is it in Stillwater? And is it a reference? It's got to be a reference to the game, but why do it to one of your own? I don't understand. I don't understand the logic of it.
All I know is I've had Have you seen Scent of a Woman, Chad?
I have.
At the end, when Al Pacino is on the stage and they're having this little court thing with the school, and Pacino really gets, Pacino's cooking.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, and Harry, Jimmy, Trent, wherever you are out there, fuck you too. That's how I felt about Oklahoma State all day long. That has been in my head. It's like, this is the last game of the Big 12.
Yeah.
This is the last one. It's for a championship. And on the eve of the last Big 12 game that Texas ever plays in football, the Oklahoma State people remind us why the hell Texas wants out of here in the first place. However, I can't judge too harshly because it's not like Texas is going to a place where they don't do fucked up things too.
Well, yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. You realize Texas has agreed to go to the SEC and Fayetteville next year. You realize that, right?
Tree killers in Alabama.
Because I got news for you.
Typically do things like this.
Yeah, I got news for you. If they thought it would help them win, there'll be 5 dead Longhorns at the goal line in Fayetteville next year at kickoff. All right? If they thought it would help. It's weird. The one thing that popped in my head, other than just the weirdness of it, like, that is a sick level. I'm an Aggie saying that. That's a sick level. And I would hope and pray that my people would not go to that level. But Ketch, I do remember my dad telling me a story, Doc Hastings, back in his A&M days, like right around the time he was headed to A&M. There was a group of Aggies that kidnapped every mascot in the Southwest Conference. All of them. Like everyone, except I think they did have a cougar at Houston at that point, and they decided not to mess with that.
Careful with the cougar.
Exactly. But there was a year where they like kidnapped them all, and I don't think they hurt Bevo that year, but there was also a year where they kidnapped Bevo and butchered him. That happened in the past somewhere, that a group of Aggies kidnapped Bevo and butchered him and went Bevo burgers on campus. So that's one of the things I thought of when I saw this. I'm like, good Lord, but of course, this is not like the official mascot. This is a representation of that, and it is sick. And if this is how Oklahoma State wants to fire things up for tomorrow morning, I'm interested to see how Texas reacts. I've seen Oklahoma State people saying, oh, Pokes by 90, Cowboys by 90 now. Like they think this is going to fire up their team. But Ketch, I still wonder, how is this going to fire up the other side that's been kind of pissy lately in a good way for them? How's Sark and the team going to use that if they do for tomorrow?
I was just going through some of the social media comments about this, and I came across this one that was pretty great. Good job, frat losers. You just made Texas the good guys. And that's from like a Sooner fan.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's crazy.
My expectations, this has been a team that for the last few weeks can find an insult in almost anything. It's like, did you hear what their coach said? They said the Texas players put their shoes on one at a time, just like everybody else. You hear what they're saying about us? That we're putting our shoes on one at a time? Oh, gonna remember that going into the game. Like every little slide. And look, credit to Sarkisian and his coaching staff. It's been working. This team, sometimes that stuff can fall flat and hokey, right? I mean,
right.
The wrong group of guys and the wrong coach and the wrong time, circumstances, guys just won't care. This team does, though. And at this point, any perceived slight, if I'm Sarkisian, I'm talking about it on the bus ride over. And so I hope that tomorrow Texas wins this game by 100, and then Tavondre Sweat interviewed after an Ndamukong Suh level performance in the game tomorrow dedicates it to the loved ones of that fallen Longhorn. We did it for Squeaky or whatever they Brownie, like whatever that Longhorn steer's name was.
I hope his name's Squeaky. What a weird name for a Longhorn. I like it.
I don't know why that's the first one. I don't know why I saw that it was a white Longhorn and threw Brownie out there. I guess
That was an
ironic,
interesting
but
second choice as well. Yeah.
That was good. Yeah, Brownie's really
Nikki
good.
and Brownie. That's when you know you've got multiple kids under 10 in your household. When
when you just start naming things that weird. That story. I don't know. You would hope for Texas they can just add it on because, and to get back to some of the game prep stuff, for those that haven't checked it out, and we, always on Fridays, we're getting into some of those notes that the fellas have on the War Room and orangebloods.com. Catch, one of the things that jumped out to me reading through the notes this week was Anwar's comment about what he's hearing about the motivation this week. It wasn't as bold as an offensive lineman for Iowa State running his mouth, but they're getting on Gundy's comments a little bit. Gundy got a little X's and O's with him, but they think they've been insulted, and they are the defensive ends of this team. Feel like they've been insulted because Gundy was asked about how to defend Texas, Sweat and Murph, and he's like, the basic was, we could double team him, just leave the outside guy coming, or we could do what we've done for 15 years, just block him. It's like, oh, okay. So he's basically saying we've handled y'all for 15 years. We're not worried about it. We'll figure it out. And now apparently, according to what, Anwar's notes and what he's hearing over at, 40 Acres, they're playing it in the weight room. They got it in rotation as extra motivation.
I think that one of the things that if you're Gundy, you're telling your guys, we scored 41 points on this team a year ago. So, they're 11-1. Yeah, they're 7th in the country. But deep down, these are the same bitches that collapsed last year in Stillwater. And why did they collapse? Because we did Oklahoma State stuff to them. Like whatever that is meant to be, right, in Stillwater. It's like, we cowboyed up. We did our thing. I get Gundy's confidence, and quite frankly, it's what I would do too. I would constantly be reminding my team in every message that I give them publicly and every message that I give them privately. These guys we beat. That's what we do. We've done it for the last, really since Mac Brown caved in 2010. We've owned this series. We're going to own it tomorrow. And it really does come down to, is this Texas team different? I was having this conversation. We can have it all day today. Like, ultimately, it feels like for me, in order for this to be a game tomorrow, Chad, I'll just look. Olive Garden can have his like $125, maybe even like a touchdown or two. Is their quarterback, is Alan Bowman going to show up tomorrow and threaten Texas at all? Because that's where this game lies. If Alan Bowman can't throw for 250 plus and get the Texas defense off balance with the pass, the way that we did see Will Howard do it, the way we did certainly see Dylan Gabriel do it, the way that we've seen Donovan Smith do it in the second half of that Houston game. If that can't happen tomorrow, Oklahoma State can't win this game. And it's about, well, if you're Texas, are you going to let the 12th rated quarterback in the Big 12 posterize you tomorrow? Are you going to let them make an and one highlight tape of crossing patterns and, just taking advantage of what is the perceived weakness of this Texas team? I don't think that's going to happen. I've got Texas winning this game by 17. I think by the time we're in the middle of the third quarter, this game will be determined. But I can't completely say that it's not possible. And I don't know what the odds are of Bowman having a really respectable game, but if he can, that's how they do it. But I think he's only had one game he's had one game as a starting quarterback for a team in a conference championship. He's had one game all season passing wise with an efficiency better than 150.
Oof.
Just one. And it wasn't like it was the outlier 180. It wasn't even 155. On
Right.
top of that, he's only had one other game where his quarterback efficiency is 140. So in 10 of the 12 games this season, his quarterback efficiency has been below 140, which is either very average or actually, when you look at the worst of his games, outright horrible. You can't let that guy keep you from greatness. Texas is 60 minutes away from greatness, and all they've got to do is actually run through a pretty just decent team. That's all Oklahoma State is. They're bad on defense. They've got a great running game, a pretty good offensive line, a pretty shitty quarterback. Like, they're just okay.
Yeah, and it's weird. By the numbers, Ketch, the strength of their offense is the passing game. They're 35th in the country supposedly throwing the ball, and Texas is still 94th against the pass. So deep down in Gundy's soul, he has to know two things. If Ollie Gordon doesn't have a decent game, they have no shot. Again, 3 losses, no touchdowns combined. Got to get him in the end zone, got to make an impact. But I think he knows Gordon can't do it by himself. I think he knows he needs Gordon, and he needs a well-orchestrated, well-thought-out passing attack. He needs to go
get thrown for yards. They get yards.
Right. And they need to figure out how to pick. And think about it. Kwiatkowski's defense, when it is pressured sometimes, it does the thing fans can't stand. It backs up. It backs off. And it tries to just bend and not break and all that type of stuff. Can Gundy come up with a plan to make them pay for that? I don't see a ton of weapons other than Gordon on that team, but I'm not putting it out of the realm of possibility either. You and I are in similar neighborhoods. You're at 34-17, right?
Yes.
And I ended up at 35-20. It's where I started this week. I played around with some other scores, but they kind of insulted Oklahoma State a little more. And I thought, no, let me leave it where it was because I'm going to respect Gundy enough to say he puts up a decent fight. I just think Texas will be better, and 2 touchdowns or so better by the end. So hopefully Texas uses all this as motivation. And I don't care what the reason was, Ketch. If a group of college students murdered that animal for no reason, it's so gross. It is just so gross and low and awful and just terrible.
I don't want to take people behind the curtain too far, but while I was showering today, and by the way, I shaved today.
Ooh, okay.
And I can't really see it, but like I cut my chin when I was shaving, like bad. Like it was let me put it like this. I had a Band-Aid on for like an hour because it needed it.
Okay.
But I was able to take the Band-Aid off 5 minutes before we went on the air and the bleeding stopped.
Okay.
But while I was taking a shower, I was just thinking, if that was my kid, if I was a parent, and word got back to me today, hey, Dad, I'm in trouble. I've been thrown out of school, whatever. And it's like, what happened? What did you do? Well, we murdered an animal, a longhorn, and we left it on the steps of the fraternity down the street. I was trying to think about what my reaction would be as a parent. Like, I love my kids.
Right.
But if there was ever a world where it was like you're on your own, you're paying for your own school, like I'm really upset, it'd be a situation like, let me get this straight. You did what?
Right.
You
Absolutely.
did what? It's so cruel. It's so cruel. It's so low rent.
Yeah.
You murdered an animal and you just dropped it in the front of a fraternity. Like it speaks to such a lack of disrespect for decency that if those were my kids, if that was a kid of mine that did that, I don't know how I would react, but boy, it'd be some real tough love involved because
yeah, absolutely.
This your 15 minutes of fame? Your 15 minutes of fame, because it's going to get out. People are going to know who did it. Your 15 minutes of fame is you murdered an animal in the name of a football game the next day, and it was supposed to be funny. You mutilated it. You cut it. It's such poor behavior
Yeah.
It might be like a deal breaker for me as a family member.
No, that's rough. That's rough. Maybe you need to go find somewhere else to spend Christmas this year. Maybe you just start there. We'll talk in the new year, right? Like, just, you know what? Just kind of.
Yeah, well, yeah. You know what?
Just,
Maybe I just saw a movie called The Holdovers, and the whole thing is it's like about a group of people who had nowhere to go for Christmas. They kind of got left by their family members.
right.
So they all just stay at the school.
There you go. Did one of them do something weird to an animal? That might be part of it. There
Just
you go.
stay home. You're good. We're good.
Just stay. All right, Ketch, as I look at the clock, I think it's just about time. We do have some super chats, but if it's 12:40 and there's another big name in there, it's time for Portal Combat.
Round one, fight! Finish him!
Portal Combat.
That is the level of overall commitment I'm looking for with that intro.
That's what we're talking about. And Ketch, I think the biggest thing to mention here before we get into stuff that may affect Texas, another big name West Coast quarterback is supposedly headed into the portal, and it's a pretty big dog. Anybody remember the name Dante Moore?
Oh, yeah.
Ketch, he is the highest rated quarterback ever at UCLA. He's the first 5-star that Chip Kelly talked into going to the Bruins. And did you hear what he said in his exit to explain his transfer?
No.
Dante Moore said, I want to go to a place where I'll be developed. He basically took Chip Kelly's whole deal and just chunked it under the bus. He said, I want to go where I'm developed. I want to go where there's a good staff. And I want to go where there's good teammates around me. Like, oh, okay.
Well, he was this close to going to Ohio State. And I think it'll either probably be Ohio State or Oregon that he goes to. Like, those were the other schools that he was seriously considering. And I mean, you know, that guy was ranked right there with Arch Manning. He's a top 5 player in last year's recruiting class. It's a big one, but I don't even know if that's the biggest one, like West Coast quarterback announcement. It's out there, right? The Cam Ward thing. But
I hadn't heard Cam Ward. No, I hadn't heard.
Yeah.
So he's in the portal?
Yes, Cam Ward's intentions are to go into the portal. And I was just reading an article in The Athletic that were taking the comments that Matt Rule made about 1 million, 1.5, 2 million.
Yeah.
And there's a guy who was it that actually said it? It was like a D1 staffer on the West Coast who said, it was a Power 5 general manager who basically said Cam Ward's the only guy that's worth that.
Interesting.
Like, those guys will get that amount of money, but the guy that is worth that much is Cam Ward.
Okay, so let me see if I've got the path correct on Cam Ward, Ketch, because now he's going to become one of those where if you know all of them, it's going to be like a trivia, wins you a trivia championship. So Incarnate Word, I believe, is where he started because I watched him play a playoff game against my wife's SFA team. Then he ended up at Houston. Then he goes Houston to Washington State, and now he's going somewhere else?
No, he never went to Houston. He went from Incarnate Word to Washington State, I thought.
Oh, okay. For some reason, I had him at Houston at one point. Maybe I'm wrong on that. My bad. So
no, I think he went from Incarnate Word to Washington State.
Okay, Incarnate Word, Washington State, and now he will go somewhere else. Okay.
Or butchering the name Incarnate
Word. And because he went from Incarnate Word to Washington State, then this becomes his free transfer, correct?
He'd be a grad transfer.
Okay, this is a grad. Okay.
Because
so
he's already played 4 seasons of college football, but he has the COVID year.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So I'm glad I clarified that because I had him in an extra school there. So Cam Ward into the portal, DJ Uiagalelei is already there, and Dante Moore from UCLA is there. Even though Dante was at UCLA, Catch, he's a Detroit kid, so he was a stud in the Midwest. And then you're telling me Ohio State was interested. That would make sense, that part of the world. So that's something to pay attention to. And then you said UCLA, maybe the other one you'd look at?
for
Dante Moore.
Well, he's leaving UCLA.
I'm sorry,
Oregon.
not UCLA.
Oregon.
Oregon's the one you said. I know you said one out west. Oregon, another Big Ten power. Silly me. Sorry, I had my Big Ten teams mixed up. So Oregon, future Big Ten member.
By the way, that was just weird to hear you say out loud.
I know. We're going to have to practice. Every once in a while, I'm just going to have to say that goofiness out loud. All right, so Dante Moore, that was the first name that blinked at me, and I'm glad you mentioned Cam Ward. I hadn't heard that one.
Whoa.
Okay.
No, never mind. That has to fake news. I almost got tricked.
You almost got tricked?
And then I had to look. I almost got for like 3 seconds I was tricked.
Lincoln Riley was in the portal?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Let's go closer to home a little bit. You know I'm going to check every day. Evan Stewart in the portal yet? That's asking for a friend.
No, but I will say this. So one of the things I reported in the war room, and I think I even said this on the show yesterday, I'm not expecting Texas. The vibe I got was that there was some initial, a very preliminary conversations. Somebody talked to somebody, right? And these talks that take place behind the scenes, portal related, whether it's an agent, whether it's a parent, high school, everybody's situation is different, but there are these preliminary, hey, would you be interested if I'm interested kind of a thing? I heard there was one of these between Stewart and Texas. And I think kind of the vibe that Texas gave Evan Stewart from what I was told is that yeah, you know what? We would be, if you're really serious about this, we would have an interest, but you're not getting a record-breaking NIL deal from us. So if this is about NIL and you making the most amount of money, you probably are going to be best looking elsewhere. And I don't know that since that initial preliminary conversation, I don't think there's any substance there. I would tell Texas fans, if you are on the choo-choo Evan Stewart Express, I don't think that one's going to happen. I get the sense that there are already a lot of guys that have reached out to Texas, certainly at the wide receiver position. And I'm not just talking about names that are in the portal right now. Yesterday, there was the talk that the kid from South Carolina, Juice Wells, was, according to a report from a South Carolina website, Texas was heavily involved. We checked with a South Carolina source yesterday, and they told us, and this is not confirmed on the Orange Blood side, I'm just telling you what we heard from another reporter out in South Carolina, was that, oh yeah, no, the word out here is that he's already going to Texas, and that he's going to get the same kind of NIL deal that he's getting at South Carolina, where he's one of the highest paid players in the SEC from an NIL standpoint. And we're hearing that's already done. I reached out and floated the Juice Wells name out to somebody. And one of the things that if you're in a text message conversation, it's always weird to talk about texts as if it's a conversation. I was told, I guess technically I was told, right? Even in the forum. Forgive me, people, for getting locked up into the wonkiness of English communication in 2023. There's a name to keep an eye on. Purdue wide receiver Deion Burks. I was told that name, Deion Burks. Keep an eye on Deion Burks. He had 47 catches for 629 yards and 7 touchdowns this year. He was second team All Big Ten or something like that.
So one of Hudson Card's receivers.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Fast.
Something like that.
If you want to know what this guy's game's all about, he's kind of a poor man's Xavier Worthy. He plays on the outside for Purdue, but he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he's a speedster. And there's a play that I saw on social media. I just put his name into Twitter, and you can find the high. He had like an 87-yard touchdown reception against Fresno State earlier this year. And you can watch that play and go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get it. He's fast, and I get why anybody would be interested in that guy because of that speed. And I still say this. He had a bad year this year. Barian Brown from Kentucky. I think he was this close to coming to Texas a year ago. And it didn't happen. He was an all-freshman SEC player in 2022. They lose Will Levis. This year, their quarterback play wasn't good. His numbers wouldn't excite you at all. But I saw a graphic yesterday where he was maybe the fastest player in the SEC last year, like from a recorded speed standpoint. And I was like, oh, well, again, we know Steve Sarkisian likes guys that can break games open with their speed. Just file that name away. Barian Brown, I think it was on the cusp of happening a year ago. Didn't happen. I just wonder if that thing comes back around. Ironically, I don't think he would command the same level, probably NIL dollars that he would have a year ago. But Texas is definitely looking at wide receivers for next season. And one of the things I pointed out in the war room that I think is really interesting is that I'm not hearing any tight end buzz, that I'm not hearing it's a position of need. I'm not hearing names. A couple of months ago, I was, because there was an expectation that Jatavian Sanders was definitely going to go to the NFL. I get the sense that as of this moment, and things could change. Maybe he has a big championship game tomorrow and they make the playoffs, and he has a big playoff game against Georgia, and then like all bets are off. But I think the way things stand right now, there's a growing sense that Sanders will return next season.
That's big time. That's big news. All right. Any other names we need to mention in portal combat today?
Can I just get the open again?
Of course. Well, we're going to close with it because it was so good the first time. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
I don't know that there's anything else that needs to be said about portal action so far today.
All right. That was portal combat.
Round one, fight! Finish him!
Portal combat!
It's the laugh that's perfect. It's
It really is.
It felt straight out of Little Nicky, which I don't know if it's an Adam Sandler movie that many people celebrate, but I do.
Well, good for you. Do I need to add that one to the list? Do I need to go James Bond, No Country for Old Men, Little Nicky?
You'd be so mad if I made you watch. Here's the thing. You'd watch Little Nicky, and either it would be so demented and awesomely awful that you would either love it, or you'd never listen to another movie recommendation.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, no. You made me do Little Nicky once. Don't ever tell me to watch a movie again.
That's fantastic. We're going to get to these super chats real quick. Let me mention that Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room might be a good idea for you this weekend or coming up in the next week or so. It's a great idea. Get out there. Go check them out. Visit them in beautiful Dripping Springs. Get some of that great Crimson Creek Smokehouse barbecue to go with it. It's real easy. You order the barbecue on your phone. They let you know when it's ready. They're right outside at the food truck and everything. If you want to walk out, or they'll just tell you when it's ready and you walk up front and you grab it. You're getting some of those beautiful vodka cocktails. You can do the vodka flights like we talked about. It's just incredible. I've got that bottle of peach Deep Eddy vodka that I've got to crack open. Remember, our friends at Specs have all the flavors of Deep Eddy vodka for you. If you want to order it there, or just head out to the Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room. There's your QR code. You can check out what they've got going on. It is Thursday and Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 11 to 5, Sunday, 12 to 5. Make your plans. Get out there. I love it every time I'm out there. I'm making plans right now to try to figure out how to get back out there. Deep Eddy Vodka tasting room out there in Dripping Springs. Beautiful stuff, and hope your weather's good wherever you are today. We do have some super chats to get to. We're at about 419, almost 420. What's up? people in the Specs chat. Let me get a reminder out there, Ketch. We tell you, we should remind you to vote Rogue, since I made a 420 reference. There you go. Vote Rogue. And just so I clarify, this is for the best CBD shop, like anywhere, or is it just in their region where they're located?
It's in their region.
Okay, right. They're up for the best Rogue shop in their area. They're in, is it Wisconsin?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah, that's where they're actually stationed. So they're in their area, battling it out with the other CBD shops.
And I'm no longer an option to vote for.
That's right. I did see that today. I voted today. I voted for Rogue.
Wait, you saw my name today?
No, I'm saying I didn't see your name.
Okay.
I went through there. I did not see your name. I did see how you ended up in there, and shame on you, because you know how to use the internet way better than that.
Like an 87-year-old man.
That's like something I would do, Ketch. That is like something I would do. I was so disappointed when I saw, wait, that's
what happened. I got high. Like I was a little high.
I voted
using the product.
You voted Rogue on Rogue.
I voted Rogue on Rogue, and the thing is, when you're voting Rogue on Rogue, don't do it with like 19 things open on your computer.
Oh my god!
Where you're like, oh, they're asking for my email.
Rogue on Rogue crime. That's what it was.
I didn't even read it. I was like, oh, they're asking for my email. And now that I've gone back a couple of times and looked at it, I'm like, oh, Jesus. Like, I bet 5 people from Wisconsin have done that this week, but they're all like old people. And I somehow ended up in the old people stack.
Damn. That is messed up. Thank you to everybody in the Specs chat. We're working our way towards buy or sell. I'm supremely proud of my last 2 buy or sell questions today. It will feature what I will contend might be the greatest hotter than ever if you're a certain age.
Oh, wow.
That's coming up.
Hey, real quick on the Cameron Ward thing, that like happened in the last hour.
Okay, so that's brand new. I hadn't heard that one.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. The Pac-2 losing a quarterback for next year. Cam Ward going to be a grad transfer, and he is in the portal. All right,
he might get like $3 million, Chad.
Well, here, real quick before we get to these super chats, you referenced it earlier. Did you happen to catch? We talked about the Matt Rule comments, right? $1 to $2 million for a quarterback or whatever. Did you catch that little the other comment he made right after that? After he got done, he kind of threw in a little comma, and then he said, well, because some teams have like $6-7 million guys. And I'm like, wait a minute. What did he just say? Matt Rule is contending that there are players in college football. I'm assuming he means Bama, Georgia, Texas A&M, USC, the big NIL schools. He's claiming, Ketch, that they're paying one dude $6 to $7 million by the time he leaves. Do you buy that?
No.
Wow.
Look, I'm not going to say I know everything about the portal, but I've got and the finances behind it, but I've got some pretty good sourcing that has a very good feel for what the marketplace looks like.
Right.
And although, look, I guess context matters. Could Quinn Ewers make that much money in his entire career? Maybe. Could Arch Manning hasn't been making NIL money. He did that thing with Panini where he signed the cards and he gave that money to charity.
Right.
But if Arch Manning wanted to just cash in, could he make $6-7 million in his career? Yes. And I think Quinn Ewers as well. Do I think there's somebody making that much money annually? No. But look, Cam Ward, Oregon's going to have an open position. They're going to all this. We keep talking about it's a big NFL draft year at the quarterback position. There are going to be a lot of big time schools that have needs at the quarterback position. Cameron Ward could take your team to the playoff. And let's say Quinn Ewers went pro, but you had a chance to bring in a bona fide, no doubt about it guy that could take you to the playoff. Like, what's that worth? I I would say you could contend that it's worth that much money. If you're willing to pay a coach $10 million a year to get you to the playoff, you might pay a quarterback half that amount of money to almost guarantee you're in that discussion. I mean, I don't know. Like I think that's a bit much, but I think that Cam Ward will be a perfect litmus test. What on an open market, what is he worth when there's a lot of schools that could use him? We'll see.
Yeah, no, it's going to be wild to find out. All right, we got super chats lined up. First off, let's just get this one out of the way. It's only $1.99, and it'll be real quick. Catch, don't swear. I'll help you out. GK, why are you wearing an A&M colored shirt? Here we go. Ready? Here we go. There it is.
Look, guys.
Look at that. That's
it's
the helmet.
Not remotely the same thing.
Look, there you go. You got it?
Hold on.
Got why
I'm
that's
the other way.
You're fine. No, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, there's nothing close there. Nothing close. So we appreciate that $1.99 going for the corner, but no, not even close. This is the shirt that will probably, hopefully, we hope, bring Texas that title tomorrow.
We have one more super chat.
Yeah, you got
Presidente, let us do buy or sell, and I'll circle back around to this.
Okay, $9.99 from El Presidente. Give us a little walk down memory lane. 01 Big Till. Okay, interesting. All right, yeah, we have multiple.
So why don't we do buy or sell, and then just a flood of super chats?
All right, let's do it. We will do that. You want to go first or second today?
Well, I lied about getting my homework done. The dog ate it. So if you could go first today. It's weird. I am now in a relationship where I'm looking at Blake like he's a father figure to me. And I don't want him to be angry with me as opposed to whatever. Okay.
All right, here we go. Buy or sell number one, Catch. If Texas doesn't get in and Oregon does, that is where UT fans will send the anger.
Sell.
Okay.
I think this thing's going to look, no matter what, look, if Oregon beats Washington tonight, I think they're going to feel different for everybody. If they beat Washington tonight and look really impressive in such a game of magnitude, the thing that Texas fans have really been saying about Oregon kind of goes out the window. They will then have a win on their resume that on paper is at least as good as the Alabama win. I think it's going to turn and be about Florida State. I think by the end of the weekend, the conversation, whether they win or lose, is going to be about, is Texas better than a team right now that doesn't have its starting quarterback?
All right, Catch. Number two, I'm going for the cheap pop. Buy or sell. Florida State loses. Texas wins. Texas in the CFP.
So, and I didn't get to my point number three at the top of the show about Florida State. I think this has been good for them. I think in a weird way, one of the questions I was going to ask you is who do you think are the most disrespected teams coming into this weekend? And I think Washington is one of those teams, and I think Florida State is one of those teams. Mm-hmm. And I think that they may be able to manufacture some emotion, some focus, some want to, some whatever you call it. I think it may help. I think Florida State to get blown out in a bowl game, but I think they'll have enough this weekend to get by.
All right, Catch. Number three, we'll try to keep it measured. Buy or sell. You feel better about these Cowboys in a divisional round game?
Well, better than what?
Better than you did before kick last night.
Oh, sell.
Okay.
Last night was a reminder that, hey, Cowboys can play a 6-6 team. And, it's different than playing the old 3-7s.
Yeah, that is true. All right, Catch, let's go birthday hunting. Buy or sell. Richard Pryor, rest in peace, and Sarah Silverman share a birthday today. If there's a Mount Rushmore for male and female comics, for you, he's on the male version. She's not on the female version.
Instinctively, it's a buy.
Okay.
But I would need, on the female side, I think I would need some time to figure out who I think that is. But I don't think she'd be on it.
Yeah, I think she is one of my 4. I'm like you. I'd have to think about it. Pryor is clearly for me, but I love that they share a birthday. That's 2 of my favorites.
The thing is, Silverman's funny, but what has she ever really done? Like, she's never been able to parlay that, I think, into the same type of success that we would expect our male comedians to have.
That's an interesting way to measure. Okay.
Well, I'm just saying that, like, she's funny, but she's never been able to parlay that into movies. She's never had like a TV show that makes you go, oh, so Sarah, like I might put Amy Poehler ahead of Sarah Silverman for that kind of exact reason, where it's like, oh, well, Amy Poehler held down one of my favorite comedy shows of all time. And like, I don't know. Like I said, I would need some time to think about it.
That's an interesting. Sounds like we could do a whole summer show on Silverman or Poehler. Or did you say Poehler, or did you say who'd you say? Not Amy
Poehler.
Yeah, Amy Poehler. Okay, gotcha.
Like my wife still has a bumper sticker that's like, vote Amy Poehler for president in 2016. Like, she was monstrous because of that show.
That's crazy. All right, and finally, Ketch, here we go. Buy or sell. Tomorrow, Britney Spears will turn 42. Christina Aguilera is already 42. Right now, Britney Spears, hotter than Christina Aguilera.
Right now?
Right now, today, before you Google it, Britney Spears, hotter than Christina Aguilera.
Can I phone a friend? Hold on. Let me just see what everybody in the chat says about this.
If you want to do the search first, you can do the search first. I'll let you do the research. We can go through super chats. You can come back around to it if you want. It's a very important one.
Guys, let me see real quick.
It's a very important one.
Right now, in real time, Britney over Christina Aguilera.
I see a sell.
But is that an anti-Britney or is that a pro-Christina?
I already see a buy and a sell. Someone says, can I pass on both? That's not the game, Chris. Shakira is hotter. That's not the game.
See, that's not what we're doing.
We're trying to play a man's game here. Man's game. Man's game. Today.
I want to say that you did a good job in this matchup.
Yeah, they are almost identical in age, and I didn't realize that till I double-checked it. They were hitting big at the same time. We could play prime on prime, but that's not the game. The game is today. My answer is so crystal clear, it's not even close. But I know for a lot of you, this is a battle. For me, this is an easy sell. It is a capital S sell, but I'm an Aguilera mark. I've been an Aguilera mark from the beginning, and I always will be. All shapes, all sizes, all Christinas win in my book. But I know a lot of people aren't in that category. So y'all tell me. Britney.
I'm going to go with you, Chad, but it's not apple versus apple anymore. Like, you know, Christina's, she's a healthy girl. I'm going to go Christina.
Okay, there it is. All right. Okay, we are halfway through.
I may change my answer before the end of the day.
Sure.
Look, because I'm more readily know what Britney looks like in real time. She shows us all the time.
Yeah, she's out there a little more. You're right. She's out there a little more showing things and knives and yeah, right.
I mean, it's constant. And the thing is, she looks drunk and drugged a lot.
Yeah. And like we always talk about with hotter than, it depends on your definition of hot. The word hot can be defined so many different ways to different people. That's why it's such a great game.
Here's the thing. This final answer.
Final answer.
Sell Christina Aguilera. And I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
Because being fucked up all the time isn't sexy.
See, there you go.
I know with Christina, if it's a public event, she's going to be on point. With Britney, bless her heart.
Yeah.
Not so much.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. All right, we got all kinds of super chats ready to roll as soon as Ketch is done with buy or sell. Ketch, what do you got?
Buy or sell number one. It's real simple. Forget about the point spreads. Straight up, you like Oregon to beat Washington tonight.
Sell. I'll take the dogs.
Okay, buy or sell number two. You thought, like I did, that the Dallas Cowboy head coach's Mike McCarthy's game management skills were going to cost the Cowboys the game when he threw it on third down, left 40 seconds on the clock, and allowed Seattle to get the ball back with like a minute 47 left.
Bye. I certainly thought that was a possibility. Yeah, as soon as that ball went in the air, I'm like, oh, this is going to be incomplete. And okay,
What are
all
we
right.
doing?
We know what they're doing. They're being themselves, right? They're being who they are, but they were able to get out of it. But yes, of course, I thought about it. He's like, yeah, you just handed him 40 extra seconds. Thank goodness Micah Parsons and the defense took care of those 40 seconds.
Buy or sell number 3, a WWE superstar will hand the game MVP championship belt to Quinn Ewers.
Buy. I like it. Yes, they're going to have to throw. They're going to need to put on a show. I think a running back's going to have a pretty good day. But yeah, I'll say it's number 3's day. He gets to show off a little bit, and he's the guy that gets to hold the belt from Undertaker or Drew McIntyre or whoever the heck they're going to have hand that thing out.
By the way, I will not, Jeremiah Park, I will not stand for this kind of slander.
Says the Miley Cyrus guy. Were you the one? Was it in 10 Thoughts where I saw the Miley at 31 comment? Was that you?
Well, I made a post on Thanksgiving Day.
That's what it was.
That was like 31 has never been better.
Miley.
I love to trigger people with the Miley. The thing is, Miley.
She is. Yeah.
All she does, I mean, she's a pop star who's constantly taking care of her body, and she's in yoga, and like she looks better at 31 than the normal human being has ever looked in their life. But for whatever reason, there's a lot of people that can only remember that when she was a teenager, she used to do things like pee on the side of the road.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. She used to act like Justin Bieber. She doesn't anymore.
Buy or sell number 4, Team Miley. Kirk Herbstreit calling NFL games. You could do without that.
Buy. It's awkward. I didn't plan on it being that way. I think Kaylee Hartung does a really good job. I think Al Michaels is still pretty much Al Michaels, but his disdain for Kirk Herbstreit is so either obvious or it's accidental, and I can't get over it. He won't stop talking about Kirk, and it's like he's insulting every time he talks about him. Last night with and for those who don't know, Kirk Herbstreit went to Ohio State.
So and
you could just feel Kirk Herbstreit squirming in that moment. Like, dude, I'm trying to make a name for myself on both levels. Could you please shut your Miracle on Ice trap for 2 seconds and let me do my job? So yeah, I could do without it, but it's not Kirk's fault. It's that one of the greats of all time is dogging him out every week on a streaming service, and it's bizarre. That's why it's wrong.
So you notice that moment of uncomfortableness as well. When
yes. Ketch, I've been saying it for this season and back into last year. I think it's when they started it. They have the weirdest chemistry to me that I thought was going to be great. I'm like, this dude's a badass. This dude's a badass. It'll work, won't it? No, not really.
There's a weird resentment there that if it's not there, it feels like it's there.
I don't know what he's got to bitch about. He talks about Kirk's travel schedule like it's an insult. The man's working hard, Al. What the hell are you talking about?
Hey, Al is the same guy that was given food last week, and he saw that sandwich had vegetables on it, and he couldn't even fake it.
Yeah,
he's like, "No, man, not for me."
He's turning weird. He's turning weird in his old age.
How did we get to the end of Al Michaels? The end, because he's close. Whatever this is the twilight of the Al Michaels run.
Oh,
how did we get to the twilight before we learned that he hates vegetables?
Yeah, it's like you can't. It's weird because this is where we know too much, Ketch. There's a world where I want to go back to where we didn't know certain details about people. But yeah, like we just need to have Al Michaels be Al Michaels. It's not like, oh yeah, no. Once I was eating a steak and they tried to bring me broccoli and I elbowed the dude in the throat and sent him to the hospital. It's like, you did what, Al? What are you talking about? I don't need to know that stuff.
And finally, buy or sell number 5. You have at least one active superstition that you engage in before at least one of your teams does some sort of game or something.
Oh, yeah, bye. I mean, especially a big game. I'm a basic, got to be wearing the shirt by kickoff guy. Like, I'm definitely one of those. I was rocking a Cowboy shirt yesterday because they had the game going, and you have to have the game. The shirt has to be on at kickoff. If it's not, you're not allowed to put the shirt on after kickoff. And you'll be happy to know last night, Ketch, that when the Seahawks took the lead at 35-30, we took the shirt off, went to a completely generic shirt because the Cowboys weren't responding to the Cowboys shirt, and it worked. And the Cowboys went and got that victory. So bye. I will subscribe to some superstitions from time to time.
Number one, I don't think I have it. I'm not saying I never have, because I can remember being in my old house in Cedar Park. I had a rule that the door had a certain door to the bedroom had to be left at a certain angle, cracked open.
Uh-huh.
And then if it wasn't, that was bad. But at this exact moment, I don't know if I'm reformed. I don't know if I'm rehabbed. I have zero active superstitions. And it makes me, for the first time in my life since I've known you, feel like the more grounded human being.
There you go. It happens. You know, I do believe in those sports gods. And I think if there are sports gods, they're going to have a clear message tomorrow for Nick Saban. You get to have that thing at Jordan-Hare, but you don't get to have this trophy. I think the football gods will punish Saban tomorrow if they actually exist. Not big time, just punish him with a loss. Georgia's going to win that game, and part of it is football gods have got to pay them back. You can't get 4th and 31 and then get to go to the playoff. That's crazy.
Okay, that's how we do buy or sell.
That's it. Okay, so we're going to get into these super chats, and we've had a lot of them piling up. We thank you so much for the super chats. We love those chats that fold, if you will, up over 400 folks in the Specs chat. Ketch, you wanted to get back to the one that you pulled up, correct, about the 0-1 title game. Do you still have that one?
Yeah, I was engaging in some rogue.
That's okay.
I don't know.
I got it right here.
Let's do that one last, because that's a story. Like,
okay.
I don't want to. Let's. And it wasn't the most recent either. So, or the one that's been asked the longest. So let's just knock them out.
Let me throw in with this one. We'll start with Ryan. Super chat $4.99. FSU's in the left lane driving slow and needs to get the F out of our way. Hey, Ryan. That's why I've been talking this week about put on your show tomorrow at Jerry Spaceship in front of Vince McMahon, all those wrestlers. They're going to hand a belt to the MVP. I'm not saying it'll work for sure, but put together something that if Florida State gets ugly and clunky and blue collar at night, man, make that committee say no to you. Ketch, we always say that about coaching, right? Make Dabo say no. Make Ryan Day say no. I'm hoping that's what my Aggies did on some level. Hell, make the committee tell you no, right?
I mean, I think they made Elko say no, but he said, I don't know.
No, not to that one. I'm saying to the game.
No, I agree with you. You got to look by 3:00 tomorrow afternoon. The perception needs to be that Texas is going 95 miles an hour in the left lane.
Yep. There you go. Absolutely. Ryan, we appreciate the super chat. Ketch, this one's going to get nerdy. Get ready. Ryan's Fish Cave, $10 super chat. Knowing your percentage on the star rankings, Ketch, how do we quantify that our award-laden defensive players were 5.63 star T. Sweat, 5.53 star Jay Ford, 5.63 star Jay Barron, and 5.73 star B. Murphy? Wow, that's a nerdy one. Well done, Ryan.
I think the best way to answer the question is to, first of all, you need to know that by being any of those star players, 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, they're not automatics. They're equations. A 5-star doesn't mean that you're definitely going to be an All-American and an NFL draft pick. Depending on the position, you're probably between 55 to 75%. You're probably, I think the number is you're 30 times more likely to be a first-round draft pick and more than 100 times more likely to be a first-round draft pick than a 3-star. But there's no automatics in any of this, just like there's no automatic that being a 5.6 or a 5.53 star means that you won't pan out. I think how would we how do I explain this? I think a lot of things came together at the same time from a developmental standpoint, and you probably can't recreate it again in 50 years if you tried. This team's really unique. Not only that, these are all players that were recruited by the former coach. Like, there's a lot about this that is a little bit of an outside anomaly. You know, these guys didn't go pro. They didn't leave. There's just a lot going on here. This is a statistical anomaly. The odds of all of this happening are extreme. And hey, Texas finally caught a mathematical break in these equations, because for a long time, these 5.6s and 5.5s haven't been working out for Texas. In this case, they're all working out at the same time. It's not going to happen very often. Probably will never happen again. But, you know, lightning sometimes can strike twice. It really is like trying to create a situation where lightning strikes something and then it actually happens. It can happen. I think the odds of it happening are slim, but I might even write about that in my 10 thoughts from the weekend. It's a really great point. I would say this, though. I had Barron listed as a really solid 4-star player, kind of the same thing with Murphy. But by the Rivals rankings, completely fair.
Ryan, we appreciate it. Let's move on to the next super chat, and it is this one from Jay, $5. Sorry to disturb the flow. You're good, Jay. But I came across what I think is a mind-blowing stat. JT Sanders only has 1 touchdown in the last 18 games he's played in. What? Wow, could that be right? 1 touchdown in 18 games played? Good. The last 18?
That sounds, like something that you wouldn't want. I mean, the thing is, we know he hasn't. I didn't vote him first team all Big 12. He's only got 1 this year. I know that. Just didn't realize going back to last year that it would extend to such a degree.
Because we talked about those numbers, Ketch, where he went from October to November, September, October, November. The catches going down, and obviously touchdowns as well. But yeah,
he's only had 1 touchdown catch since that massive game against Oklahoma last year.
Man,
it speaks to what Sark doesn't do in the red zone. I mean, It felt like when the Cowboys got into the red zone last night, because I was playing I traded away Jake Ferguson in fantasy, Chad.
Okay.
So I'm playing him this week in a game that I need to win. And it felt like Dak looked for Jake Ferguson in the red zone a lot. He didn't always throw it to him, but I could see Dak's head movement looking for Jake Ferguson. I don't think that happens with the tight end position at Texas. Sark arrived at Texas with a reputation for not using the tight end a lot. I think, we will all, until the day Jatavian Sanders leaves, we'll all think that they should use him more, but he really just isn't used in the red zone at all. I think it's a mistake. I think it's really a mistake when you consider how poorly this team is in the red zone, that maybe mix in some throws to Sanders if nothing else is working. And for most of the season, it's because one thing, Chad, I think you would agree on, for all of the red zone issues that Texas have had, I can't remember many times them throwing to Sanders and all of that, right? It's like,
I don't either.
They're trying.
Right.
I can't remember them trying.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. And 2 things to remember tomorrow. When that game goes to the red zone, Texas 104 in the country offensively in the red zone, defensively 4 in the country. 4.
We want to talk about a pathway for a game getting close.
Right.
It's kicking field goals because you can't cash in your chips.
That's it. Yeah. Will it be too much Bird Auburn in certain ways tomorrow? We will see. Jay, thank you for that super chat. We appreciate it. How about this one from an earlier conversation? The Google Scholar 199. How dare you disrespect Show Nuff, all-time villain? Show Nuff is a solid villain. There's no doubt about that.
Just so you know, we didn't leave out the possibility.
The dogs agree. The dogs love Show Nuff. The dogs are going for the villain in All Dogs Go to Heaven. Who was that? The devil? Was the devil the villain in that movie? I can't remember.
Is we've got a Weimaraner versus Golden Doodle battle on the couch right now.
Who was the villain in Bolt? Do we remember? I can't remember that one.
Hey, dogs! Luna! Shut up!
The dogs are fired up today.
By the way, this is what's funny is, I mean, they're just having a good old Russell tussle right now. I don't know where my wife is. Wife!
Just getting a scrap. Getting a scrap.
We've got an 80-pound dog taking on a 10-pound dog, and I think the 10-pound dog is winning. Okay. I'm sorry. You have my attention again.
Yeah.
We might have to take a break in a second where I throw dogs outside the house and stuff like that.
We can do that.
I love Show Nuff. I'm a Show Nuff. Matter of fact, here's the thing. Show Nuff's not an all-time villain. Show Nuff is an all-time. I mean, I kind of love him.
Yeah.
He might be the hero to my story.
The only reason I know who Show Nuff is because of Jeff Ketchum. So trust me, I know Jeff Ketchum is into Show Nuff.
Have you not seen The Last Dragon?
Of course I've seen it. It's because of you. I saw it. I said I'd never seen it. You threatened to never speak to me again. And then I saw the movie. So I know who Show Nuff is.
Show Nuff? Okay.
Show Nuff. Yes. We continue to try to get the glow every day on House Divided. $1.99 from Going for the Corner. That I'm going to have to piece this one together. That didn't exist with CS and TH. That's Sark. I'm assuming what they're talking about here, Ketch, is when we were discussing the motivational stuff, the locker room stuff that Sark is using with these guys. It can be used in a healthy way, and he seems to be doing it. This week we talked about extra comments from Mike Gundy that they may be using. And then I don't know if you truly use that weird Longhorn thing in Stillwater, but I think there's some disrespect that can be shown. And the other thing I would be telling these guys, Ketch, is, guys, it does matter what it looks like. It really does. Like, I wouldn't use the word pageant like I do or anything like that, but just remind them, let's go whip this team. Let's go show the country something. We need to send a message. It's our stage. We have to send a message to everybody of who we are.
No, I don't know that Sark's done enough of that. I think Mac Brown this week before this game is even played would have said something to catch the eye of the committee.
Right. Just throw in a quick little, if we win, I think we should be in.
I mean, something that's going to get talked about on national radio, which is, we're one of the best 4 teams. If Georgia beats Alabama this weekend, they'll have done is accomplish what we've already done. Like, I had not completely understood the not cutting a promo in the name of making sure people know how good you are, because I don't think enough people do respect Texas. If I thought, Texas is getting all of the respect and then some, I don't know that I would feel that way. But they're not. They're struggling to even be ahead of an Ohio State that, what have they done this season? I mean, Ohio State hasn't done what Texas has done, and yet Ohio State's in front of them this weekend. And while we don't think that Ohio State, that might have been the thing that would have triggered me if I was Sark. What are you guys not seeing? Our schedule of strength is better than everybody else's. We've got a better win. We've got an Outland Trophy. I'd be doing the Mac Brown thing. I'd be like, we got 9 all Big 12. Everything. I'd be reciting everything.
And the extra reason would be when he went on his little, political rant or whatever in 2004, he maybe had some prettier football to talk about. Sark and winning these games close, it might be needed. I think you're right. There might be a need in pumping up the facts you're talking about. Hit hard on schedule strength and win in Tuscaloosa, and refer to what just happened. That team that just pulled off that crazy win in a rival game, and everybody's giving them the love and giving Milroe the love. Yeah, we benched that guy. That guy got benched because of us. They're just whatever you need to throw out to get that idea in their head. It's like,
strength of schedule, best win. And by the way, when this season's over with, if Oregon even wins its game this weekend, Like, we've got 2 more wins over bowl teams than they've got. Like, what are
Right.
we not doing? I would have thrown a fucking fit.
Yeah.
And I would
right.
have been like, and I would have had everybody, you know what? Because what happens is, if you're wrong, people call that out quick. Like, oh, well, you know, he's saying all of this and it's not even accurate. It's very misleading. And this is why we're not picking you. I think in this instance, where a lot of people haven't been standing up for Texas, I think you'd probably be in a situation where Sark says we should look at the resumes. Let's do it. And I think people might look at the resume and go, you know what? Texas has a point on a lot of this stuff. And, you know, you mentioned when A&M got left out in 20, at the end of it, there were 2 sides of the equation that A&M failed the test.
Mm-hmm.
And so you could understand it. In this instance of the 2 sides, Texas is only failing one. They're winning the resume battle that nobody's acknowledging. They're losing the eye test battle. And they need to go Gilbert Godfrey and Beverly Hills Cop 2. They need, in this hand, is the eyeball test. And what I think Steve Sarkisian has needed to do and will need to do on Saturday, it's not too late. When that game is over, he can get on the stump and say it all before any of the rest of the games are played.
Yep. He'll be on ABC doing that live on the field if he gets to do it.
Grandstand.
Yep.
It's what Mac Brown would do. And you know what? It worked every time Mac needed to do it. It worked. It worked.
Yeah. What's the fun in being Texas if you don't get to remind people occasionally that you're Texas? That's what he needs
you
to do.
should remind people that you beat Alabama this year.
Yes. Remind them. Because you know what he did on the field right after they did that? He said that they'd won 52 out of their previous 53 on that field. He knew it right away, like that.
Yep.
That stat popped out like that. I guarantee you nobody told him that 5 seconds before. He knew it.
And I'd just be referencing every little thing that I could, you know? I thought it was really interesting yesterday that Sark said that the local media needed to be the people building the case for Texas.
Right.
And I just couldn't help thinking to myself, I had a couple of thoughts. But one, people nationally don't care about what's being said regionally. You'd almost expect, the local guys, whether they're writing things of substance or not, it'll feel like homerism.
Yep.
It needs to come from the biggest voice possible. And I'll say this, in 2004, when Mac Brown was trying to politic his way in front of Aaron Rodgers and those Cal Golden Bears, he did not. Mac would call me from time to time. Always pissed. Never did Mac call me up and go, Ketch, I don't know if you've noticed, we're in a real tight battle to get in to the Rose Bowl. Can you write something? Can you get on? Twitter didn't exist back then. Can you do something to get, people talking about us? That never happened. Mac didn't like to do it, but he did it. And I think Sark can't be too cool for school.
Right. You know what, Mac?
That's just worthless if you get left out.
You know what Mac did? Anybody that knows pro wrestling knows. What does the pro wrestler do, Catch, when they get in the ring and they're about to cut a promo? They do this to get the mic. That's what Mac did. In 2004, he didn't call you. He didn't gripe at Kirk Bowles. He went like this. Here, hand me that mic.
And he did it on every show.
He did it as much as he felt like he needed to do. So there is going to need to be that moment because nothing they can do at Jerry World guarantees them anything. So
he needs to be on the ACC broadcast Saturday night. In the middle of that Florida State game.
They should offer him up at half. You're absolutely right. Yes, that's a good idea. That's actually a really good idea. They need to
have him on the phone talking about Texas and why Texas over Florida State if at Saturday clock at 8 o'clock at night, like that's the discussion. It might be the discussion.
Yep.
Be loud and be everywhere. And you know what? Go back to being too cool for school on Monday.
Yeah, it's a good
when
point.
you're in the playoff.
When you're there, yes. Thank you, Going for the Corner. That was good stuff. Good discussion coming off of your super chat. We appreciate you. Real quick, almost 400 folks in the Specs chat. Let's give Specs some love. We'll hit you with 15 seconds of Specs. Holidays coming up, game watching coming up. Specs can get you set up.
Game parties. You want to watch football all day tomorrow.
Come on.
Let them deliver.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
Thanks to Lisa. Thanks to the rabbit. Thanks to that other woman we didn't notice right away with the great hair. And
I love Lisa and the rabbit.
And thanks to the hands of the heroes, the hands that are just grabbing cans off of the shelf to remind us all to go to Specs, specsonline.com. All right, we got more super chats to get into. This is interesting, Ketch. Somebody says, Cotton, $1.99. Although being home, we are wearing icy whites. So if you're the number one seed in this game, that lets you choose, maybe? I hadn't heard what Texas is wearing, but I guess they'd let them pick.
I haven't paid any attention to that.
Yeah. There's no, Cotton, since there's no divisions, there's nothing that would determine one division was last year, one division's this year. My guess is that they're doing it like, like a tournament. Well, not a tournament game, but like they do in the NFL. Home team gets the choice, but in this case, higher seed gets the choice. Texas lets them know we're going to wear our whites, tell Oklahoma State to bring the color. That's
correct.
What
Home team gets to pick. And if y'all remember, I think in the 2018 championship, OU wore alternates and Texas ended up wearing like orange. I think and they were a away team. So it's up to the home team, I believe.
And of course, Ketch, you and I know as Cowboys fans, they'll be following the pattern of that home team. Cowboys, one of the unique NFL teams that likes white at home. Most NFL teams go the other way. Cowboys have always been a white at home team. They dig that.
People won't know this, but back in the day, because we were talking about our superstitions, when I was a kid, the Cowboys in blue was bad luck.
Oh, here we go. Yep, absolutely.
And I have not thought that for decades.
The blue with the white. The blue with the white and no silver trim. That basic blue, that's the one that supposedly they never won in. And there was all these stories about how bad they were in those jerseys.
Well, I was like, how the hell could that? Because this would have been before I was like alive. You know what I mean? So it's like, how the hell did they keep going to the Super Bowl? If every time they wore the blues, they were unlucky. But if you go back and you're like, 1980 NFC Championship game, you're like, oh, yeah, well, tough. You know what? They weren't in the blues when they played the 40. I think it ended in the Ketch.
I think you might be right. I think you may be
you know what? The whites ain't lucky.
No, not good. Not good. Let's go to our man Oscar over at the university. He's watching Tiger today. Says, look for me on the telly tomorrow, fellas. Hook 'em. I guess that means Oscar's going to be at the Big 12 championship game. I'm assuming that means he's not at the Hero Challenge with Tiger. But
Oscar, are you involved in the Dr. Pepper halftime show throwing footballs?
Oh,
it would be awesome if we knew the person.
That is good. By the way, how great is it that over the years somebody realized that the best way to throw that is not to truly throw it, that we went to this? That's the best. I love that it's turned into that, because the first time it happened, I think it was like a 5'2" girl showed up to face like a 6'4", built like a quarterback guy, and he's out there trying to go full Jeff George on every throw. And she goes, "What, are we ready? Are we ready to go? Ding, 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 ball game." And she walks off and beats him by like 10. And we're like, oh, that's how to do it. Okay.
So you shouldn't try to be Troy Aikman. You should try to be Lori Morgan. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know who that girl is, but she needs to be the Dick Fosbury of the halftime Dr. Pepper thing, because she redefined the whole game in one day.
I love that you said that, because it was what was in my brain.
Right?
We're doing that thing where like our cycles are together, because you said it and I was thinking it.
There it is. All right. So you say you want to end with the 01 comment. So let's go down here. Here's a weird one. $1.99 super chat from James Hampton DJ Arakpo. who y'all taking for 1 year? You
All
get
right, well, look, Arakpo's gone. I mean, he doesn't belong in the discussion. No offense, Brian, if you're out there. I loved you as a player, but Hampton and DJ are arguably top 5 players, regardless of position in the history of the school.
So I get 1 year of either one of them. I'm assuming it's just prime them. 1 year badass version. Ketch, I'll take Hampton. But that's close. They're both so good, impactful, everything. For versatility, you might lean DJ, but I'll go old school, old man, and say I'll go with the D tackle.
I think I'm going to go Casey Hampton as well.
Yeah.
Should tell everybody how freaky Casey Hampton was that we're choosing him over Derek Johnson, who's, the best defensive player this century for the Longhorns. But Casey Hampton, what a freak. I mean,
and it's not.
You've been impressed by Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy this year.
Dude.
Imagine those guys with like 4 or 5 times the productivity.
Yeah, it's incredible. Incredible. Good. That's a great question, James, though. I like that. That's good. That's a good man's game discussion, trying to figure those kind of things out. All right, we're leaving that one down memory lane. So let's go to this one, Ketch. Super chat from Blake 999. In the NFL, agents leverage contracts based on other comparable players' contracts. How does it work in college where the compensation is somewhat nebulous? Well stated, Blake. Somewhat nebulous.
A lot of times it's a big game of chicken. Look, I'll give you an example. There's a player on this team who's going to play in the NFL. And a couple of years ago, there was a threat that if he didn't get his big NIL deal, he was going to go into the portal and get his big NIL deal. Mm-hmm. And the way I always heard that story went down was they were like, what big deal are you talking about? Like what do you think you're getting and from whom? And this guy was like, well, I'm going to go here and this is how much money I'm going to make. And I heard they went, have they told you that? And he said, no, but I'm assuming that it'll be there if I want to be there. And they were like, well, look here. You go do that. You go see if that money's there. But you know what? If it's not, don't come back here. And in the end, that player didn't leave. In the end, it's worked out well. But sometimes this is a game of chicken. This is what I can get. This is what I'm being told. Look, when Jordan Addison was in the portal and was looking at USC in Texas, there were reports from the likes of Colin Cowherd that Addison was going to get $2 million in the portal. I mean, the Longhorns didn't get him on campus and say, we're going to give you $2 million in 2. They said, no, let's see what you're talking about. What's in front of you? Yeah. And then you do your best, but sometimes guys are lying. Sometimes agents are doing agent things. It's nebulous. I guess, Blake, the answer would be it never stops being nebulous. So how does it work? Differently every time.
Blake, we appreciate that super chat. Let's grab one more before we go down memory lane back to 01. This is Blake. Our Blake, super producer, letting us know about Pete Thamel throwing this out about Rodemaker. The status of Tate Rodemaker is in flux for the ACC title game. Get to know the name Brock Glenn, the third-string quarterback who suddenly looms as a pivotal figure in the CFP chase. So there you go. That's one of the big deals for tomorrow night. It's officially, both of those are 7 o'clock starts, by the way. Fox for the Big Ten, ABC for Louisville, Florida State. We will keep an eye on that. And it reminds me, Ketch, to mention something to everybody. For the next couple days, you need to remember 11 in the morning, because 11 in the morning is when Texas kicks Big 12 title game. Sunday at 11 is when they're going to reveal the CFP, and then later on in the day, it's bowl games. So Orange Blood's live. We're going to be there for all of it. Tomorrow, watch along. 10:45 a.m. Ketch and I'll jump in, talk Texas and Oklahoma State like we've done in all the other games. Jump on in. Shout out to Pine House. I got my Pine House lined up and ready to go. Burrow's breakfast for the first half and a special brew if Texas is kicking Oklahoma State's ass by the half. I have a celebration beer for the second half, but only if they're up 17 or more. More on that tomorrow. But what we tell you all the time is like, subscribe, and get notifications. Even I know those three now. And I'm the old man that barely knew what I was doing at the beginning and disconnected the show by mistake like 5 times. But the reason
you didn't sign up as a CBD shop this week in a poll of Wisconsin CBD.
That is true. I did not sign myself up as Chad CBD Heaven like Ketch did and try to take some rogue votes this week. I didn't do that. But what I know about the notification thing is this. When something goes down and Orange Bloods Live is going to give you a special show, a show that maybe wasn't scheduled before, it needs to be done, and maybe it needs to be done fairly quickly, you're going to know quickly. I say that to say this. Ketch, tomorrow night, if it's crazy with that Big Ten game or with Florida State and Louisville, you and I are going to be sitting around watching those games. Some of the other Orange Bloods guys might be sitting around watching those games. We may just go ahead and jump into an impromptu double watch along if necessary. If it's Iowa 24-0 and if it's Louisville 17-0 at the half, well, guess what, kids? We are going to jump in with a special watch along because you're thinking, wait, what is Ketch thinking about this? What's he thinking about the possibility? Jump on in. Orange Bloods Live. Get those notifications. Like, subscribe. 17.6 thousand subscribers is where we're sitting right now, I believe.
Let's get to 18 over the weekend.
Got to get to 18 over the weekend. You know we're on our way to 8 million, but we got to get there slowly. 17.6. Thank you all for your support. So just get those notifications. We are going to be on standby for the next couple days, whether it's the boring version or the what the hell version. We'll be talking about all of it here at Orange Bloods Live. Just want to remind you. Okay, so we got the Pete Thamel thing out there with Rodemaker.
Well, can I give you a little bit of Brock Glenn knowledge?
Sure. Hit me with some Brock Glenn.
Because this may be the guy that decides Texas's fate tomorrow night.
There you go. Tell me about him.
6'2", 190-pound true freshman. So he is in the Arch Manning recruiting class.
Okay. He is a baby and ready to roll. The talented baby.
From Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay.
He was a high 3-star prospect who was committed to Ohio State. And last November 21st, almost a year ago, not quite to the day, right? We're in December now, but close.
Sure. Yeah.
He flipped to Florida State.
Interesting. Okay.
So, like, this is no ordinary 3-star.
He's a badass.
Well, I wouldn't say that. But he's enough of a badass that the likes of Ohio State and Florida State both wanted him.
Right. Okay. Remind me, Ketch, back to that 2014 Ohio State team. Cardale Jones was the third guy, right?
Yeah. And
it's JT Barrett. And who's the other guy I'm not thinking of? It hit me earlier today, and I'm like, why can't I think of the third guy?
That wasn't Pryor, was it? I can't remember.
Yes, Terrell Pryor.
Is that right?
Thank you. I believe that's right. Yes, I think that is the other guy. Okay, thank you. I couldn't come up with the third guy. But that's the one game that I've had in my head, and I think we can all agree, like I said earlier, if Florida State wins 59-0, they probably need to be in the playoff with that quarterback. But now we will watch. What is it now? What is it again? Brock Flynn? Brock what?
Glenn.
Brock Glenn. Brock Glenn.
I mean, you don't have to remember it forever.
No, but
he might not even play.
Brock Glenn.
But
right.
The future of the Florida State season could be on his shoulders tomorrow.
Man, that's wild. That is wild. And I think the biggest name in that game, Ketch, is Benson, the running back. That's an obvious statement to make, but that's the dude that could that's their big star to me right now. And then we'll see if it is the young quarterback. Can somebody get those receivers activated? They're pretty good when they're that way. Braxton Miller. Is that the answer?
There it is. So. Yeah. That's it.
What's funny is that Terrell Pryor was at Ohio State 10 years before Braxton Miller was.
Okay.
Time flies.
Yes, there it is. There you go. All right.
No, that can't be right.
Old men discussing Ohio State quarterbacks. Anyway, if you're an Ohio State fan, I apologize for that. But I was just trying to work through the process. All right, Ketch, you want to go back to 01? You ready to go down memory lane?
It wasn't quite 10 years.
Yeah, come on. We're not that old.
I was going off Chad Gibson's comment here. Pryor played against the 2008 Texas team, and you were referencing the 2018.
He was 08 through 2010.
Okay.
Okay, this is the 2018 team we were talking about, right?
No, we were talking about 2014. Come on.
Oh, 14. Okay.
2014. Come on. I'm not quite that old.
Okay.
I mean, were we way wrong? Yes. Were we more than 4 years wrong? No.
Kirk Herbstreit. That's who it was, Ketch. Kirk Herbstreit. Yeah. All right. Okay. So let's go.
Look, why would we remember who the quarterback was? He didn't play in the championship
No, I
game.
know he didn't. I was trying to come up with him. Now you see
We're going
why.
to forever remember Cardell Jones. Why? Because Cardell Jones played in the championship.
Still one of the boldest early calls I've ever seen in a game. When they ran that go route on that first drive of the game and he threw a touchdown, I'm like, all right, that takes guts, Urban. Well done. All right. El Presidente is throwing
Wait,
this
that
way.
wasn't Tressel?
Woody Hayes. It was Woody Hayes. What a call. All right, not 999. Ketch. Give us a little walk down memory lane. 01 Big 12 championship. All Texas had to do is win, and Florida got beat by Tennessee. This weekend feels the same. Texas win and a Louisville win. All right.
All right. So look, I feel like my story is interesting and unique at the same time. By the Orange Bloods had only been around June, July, August, September, October, November. You know, we're like a baby. We're like 6, 7 months old. We weren't even Orange Bloods yet. We were the-university.com. We show up for the game. It's at Texas Stadium, the one that used to stand. There wasn't even a Jerry World yet.
Yep. I was there when they imploded it.
Before the game, I'm hanging out with my friend Matt Brock, Justin Berry, Chandra Wolf, who's now Chandra Brock, my friend Brad, who's no longer with us. And that might have been it. Like, this was our little traveling crew. Somehow, in the tailgate scene leading up before the game, we hooked up with Cedric Benson's mom, Jackie. And we partied with Jackie. Wherever we went, people kind of knew who I was a little bit, but they knew who Miss Benson was, right? So wherever we went, we were treated like kings and queens. And then we go into the stadium. And about an hour before the game, I can't remember who was playing in the SEC championship game, but
Tennessee and LSU, I believe, right?
And was it LSU that beat Tennessee, or I can't remember.
So Chance told this story last night on The Outsiders. I think you said it was Tennessee that had to lose.
I think that's right.
Right?
And suddenly, everybody inside Texas Stadium is trying to find a television. And I know in 2023, that sounds almost next to impossible because everything's on television now, right? Like, they probably would have had that game on the big screen at Jerry World in 2023. But in 2001, you really couldn't find televisions.
And it was Tennessee LSU. LSU won that game 31-20.
So everybody in Texas Stadium is rushing towards the boxes, the owner's suites, just the suites, right? Everybody's trying to get as close to a suite as possible so that they can watch the TV in one of the suites of this LSU Tennessee game. When it became clear that LSU was going to beat Tennessee, all I can tell you is it was as if the entire stadium had been hit by a lightning bolt and electricity was running through everything and everybody. suddenly, because when Texas fans woke up that day, they didn't wake up thinking necessarily we'll be playing for a chance to get into the national championship game.
Right. And remember, kids, 2 spots. That's it. Only 2 spots.
It was only 2.
Yeah.
And it took, if I'm not mistaken, there was something else that happened that day that put the SEC game as, okay, well, Tennessee's next. And then they lose. And now Texas, all they've got to do is win. And suddenly, it just felt like the biggest moment in Texas football history. That there had been some recent success. They had won some conference championships. They'd played in major bowl games. But suddenly, they're 60 minutes away from playing for a national championship. And because they'd beaten the crap out of Colorado early in the year, in real time, it felt like Texas is going to the national championship.
Right.
It never crossed anybody's mind inside Texas Stadium that Texas would lose that game to Colorado. So for like an hour, when I tell you there was a buzz inside the stadium, I mean, you could taste it. You could feel it. It was a thing. And then the game started, and Colorado takes a couple of score lead pretty quick. Sims is turning the ball over. And it was as if somebody realized they'd won the lottery and then couldn't find the lottery ticket. Everybody in the building was anxious beyond belief. The weight of what they're losing, what was falling through the fingers of Texas as an institution was palpable. I mean, everybody was feeling it. And they weren't playing in a college stadium in front of a college crowd. They were playing in Texas Stadium in front of a pro crowd, and everybody was drinking and everybody was drunk. I mean, hell, I don't even drink. And I had been drinking before the Big 12 championship game.
Well, you're partying with Cedric Benson's mom. Who wouldn't have been?
Taking shots. I wasn't drinking beer, but I was everything short of that.
Man.
Then the boos start. Because that's what pro stadiums do. That's what pro crowds do. This wasn't a college crowd. This was a Dallas Cowboys crowd.
And Ketch, to be fair, this is one of those rare times when the 2 circuses were together at once. You're in one circus's tent. The other circus is performing. Those 2 fan bases are so similar in a lot of ways. And that wave of like weird energy happened at the same time.
And if you ever remember watching Rocky IV, when Apollo's getting nearly at the point of death, when Drago's beating him senseless, that's what it felt like in the building with Chris Sims. Everybody was screaming, "Throw the goddamn towel, Rock!" And instead, Mac went just like Rocky, didn't throw the towel in time.
Yeah.
Mac waited one extra possession to leave Chris Sims in the building, and he threw a pick 6, and the place went crazy, and they lost Cedric Benson to a freak injury when trying to tackle a player who was off of a Sims interception, and Texas chased.
Wasn't there another weird injury in that game, Ketch? Was it?
Well, he ran into Mike Williams.
That's it, and he hurt Mike too, right?
I remember I don't remember what happened to Mike.
I'm sorry, he hurt him is not the way to say it, but I want to say either those 2 guys got hurt on that same play or somebody else got hurt during the game.
Nasty, violent collision.
Yeah, it was bad. So,
Applewhite comes in. The comeback begins, but you had a Texas defense that could not stop the Colorado running game.
Yep.
And there was a late mistake that ends up right when Texas thinks it's going to do it. Colorado made one more play. Texas gave up one more play, and that was the game. And now let me tell you the worst part about all of this, right? So the crowd is the angriest Texas crowd in recorded history. I'm telling you, There's never been a drunker, madder, more pissed off crowd of people ever. And they're all trying to get out of the Texas Stadium parking lot, which if you can remember trying to get out of a Cowboys game back in the day when Texas Stadium, you had to walk 4 miles to get from. It just sucked. It sucked.
It was bad, yeah.
My boy Brad, who formerly known as Texas, as one of the legendary all-time internet posters, from time to time, Brad could be known to tie one on.
Mm-hmm.
He tied one on and got lost.
Lost walking or driving?
Walking.
Okay.
But we couldn't find him.
Damn.
And we spent about 2.5 hours after the game trying to find Brad around Texas Stadium. So as mad as everybody was, as awful as it was, as pissed off as everybody was, we couldn't leave because we couldn't find Brad.
Oh my God. That is so you're saying at the time that Mac Brown was answering questions for Chris Sims and Texas fans were getting Chris Sims' number somehow and getting ready to do all that, you and your friends were looking for your lost friend.
We didn't find Brad until the whole damn parking lot was empty.
Damn, where was Brad?
I don't know where Brad was. If I knew where Brad was, Brad could have passed out near a dumpster for all I know.
But
Brad
wait a minute,
had a way.
You're telling me 22 years later you can't tell me where Brad was? What did you do? You just went home and you just
No, we found Brad.
Okay, but I'm asking, where was he?
I don't know where he was.
I just figured this story was at least heading towards that.
This is a Brad that the year before, 11 months before, on New Year's Day or whatever day it was, when OU played Florida State in the national championship, Brad passed out before the game started at Waterloo Ice House.
Nice. And
Waterloo Ice House wouldn't let us stay with someone sleeping on a table. Who knew?
Weird rules, but they have rules. So there you go.
So I took Brad to my apartment off of Lamar, and Brad was so drunk that when I wasn't paying attention to him, like in the middle of the night, he went into my bathroom and peed on everything but the actual toilet.
That's gross.
Shower curtain, walls, the mirror. It was like he sprayed the entire room. Anyway, we lost Brad, and Brad had a lot of those stories.
El Presidente, up until that last part, I was really glad you sent the super chat. But right up until that last part. Thank you for that $9.99 in the super chat. We are over that 2:00 mark. We've got Scottish Guy coming up at 2:15, but we also have 3 more super chats. Let's see if we can hit them here real quick. The Google Scholar, $1.99. Would Poona Ford start on this D-line?
Yes.
Okay.
I think by very slim margins, Poona Ford would have started over Byron Murphy.
I guess probably a fair argument. Good question, though. Blake with a $5 super chat. Driving to Memphis to fly out for the game. Can you stay on till 5 so I have something to listen to? Hook 'em. Blake, Football with Friends will be on at 5.
Yeah. Or I did an hour plus with Anwar earlier on the Old Fashioned.
That's true.
And if you need even more than that, you can go to Get Your Horns Up. So, we got content for you.
That's it. Blake, safe travels, and we hope you enjoy that game tomorrow morning. For the rest of you, check out the watch along with us on Orange Bloods Live, 10:45 a.m. This super chat is $4.99. The Roughing the Kicker with 4 minutes left haunts me like Gideon's dropped interception. That comes from Paul. That is one of those moments. One of those moments.
And up until that moment, Texas fans thought they were going to do it.
Yeah.
It was very much Adrian, in the crowd, you're going to do it. It felt like it was coming off. And Texas just didn't play good enough football that day.
Yeah, that was tough. That was so rough.
We'll say this. Texas fans felt about Colorado that day. I think the way Texas fans feel about Oklahoma State tomorrow.
Yeah, except for the fact that there's not a game in season. I agree with you. There's this disdain for them because they lost those 2 games by a lot. They feel so unworthy in Texas's mind. That's the part that these players got to be careful about, man. If you let them in early, Oklahoma State can make this a ball game.
And ironically, they've got a running game, right? Like Colorado. The difference is Colorado had like 5 NFL offensive linemen, couple of future all-pro kind of players, Andre Gerard on that, Chris Brown in the backfield. I mean, Colorado wasn't in their prime anymore, but they weren't far from it. They were really good. That's
the team that beat the hell out of Nebraska that year, right?
Yep.
They
just couldn't stop. Nebraska couldn't stop the run.
Chris Brown and one of my favorite names of all time, Bobby Purify. And that dude, they both went crazy that day for 250. And they ran for what? 220 on Texas.
Oh, they ran for more than 220.
Maybe like 260.
I'm going to look. They ran for over 300 yards that day.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to look it up.
I'd forgotten it was that bad, but I've always talked about it. I've always said, not that Sims doesn't deserve, some of the blame in that game. Chris Sims would tell us he deserves some blame in that game. But I always brought it up. Like, Chris Sims didn't have to go out there and try to tackle those running backs. That Texas defense gave up a lot that night. A whole lot.
Oh, you know what? It wasn't as bad as I thought.
I thought it was like a 237 or something.
They rushed for 223, but really 273.
270,
because the numbers from the sacks,
right?
But
because the revisionist history of that game, Ketch, is that everything Sims did was like coming out on his 4-yard line. Like everything he did just gave Colorado the easiest scores ever. And you go back and look and you're like, well, no, they had to go 60-something yards on that one. And, well, they have to go 70-something yards on that one. Like, I mean, there was a whole team that lost that game too.
Chris Brown finishes that day 33 for 182 and 3 touchdowns.
Jesus.
And Purify had 7 for 62. So the pair of them go for 244. You could give me 1,000 guesses. 1,000. You could give me 5,000 guesses.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who the starting quarterback for Colorado was that day?
The starting quarterback for Colorado in the 0-1.
I haven't thought about this name in 22 years.
Coy Detmer.
Oh, no, because
that's later. That's earlier than that. Now, I don't know.
And I would know Coy. I'm telling you.
Coy.
5,000 guesses, Coy would have been one.
Yeah, so if it's not Coy, and obviously that means it's not Joel Klatt, and it's not, I don't know. Who was it?
Bobby Pesavento.
Whoa. Yeah. Bobby Pesavento.
Who was 8? Texas lost the Big 12 championship on a night when Bobby Pesavento was 8 of 18 for 111 yards, a touchdown, and a pick.
That's brutal. It's just awful. Wow. All right. Thanks.
Can I give you Sims's line?
Sure.
He actually had more attempts than I would have guessed.
Okay.
9 of 17 for $130 and 3 picks.
Oof.
Oh, God.
And no touchdowns, correct?
Oh, no.
No. Yeah.
No touchdowns.
No touchdowns. All right. There you go. So coming up here at 2:15, we will get you a little Scottish guy. Before that, maybe a little crap baggish kind of story. Ketch, did you hear the Tyreek Hill photographer story?
Yeah.
Wow. The NFL needs to get this story right. So if y'all have missed this, it's a perfect crap bag type of story. The NFL no fun league and being a bunch of old men who don't understand young kids celebrating. Get this version. Tyreek Hill in week 6 of the season, he catches a touchdown in a home game. And if you remember, there was a moment where he grabbed the cell phone of someone down on the sideline in the end zone, and he did a backflip. And that video, let me make sure I get this right. That video got 4.5 million views on TikTok, Mr. Ketchum, and over 100,000 likes on Instagram. Okay? Now, he took the phone from a young man, he's 20 years old, a young man who was credentialed by the NFL to photograph the game. He was down there doing his job. He's also a friend of Tyreek Hill's. They'd met previously because he's a student at Miami. And when Tyreek Hill got traded to Miami, they reconnected, and he's done like personal videos for Tyreek, for Saquon Barkley or whatever. This kid's making a name for himself in the social media world, got a gig with the NFL. The NFL not only fined Tyreek Hill $10,000 for celebrating with a prop, the NFL took this kid's credential away for the rest of the season and informed him it might be longer than that. It might be permanently. Because why? Because he jumped up and down afterwards. Because he celebrated afterwards. By the way,
honestly, sometimes the NFL makes you hate them.
And Ketch, do you know why he was celebrating? Because he was so excited because he was about to go send it to the NFL, who, by the way, put it up on their social media. Then they realized their problem. They took it down because, how can we flag the guy and fine him and take this credential away if we're then going to use it for our own promotion? So then they put it up and deleted it, which looks stupid because that's kind of what they do. I hadn't heard this story, Ketch. Did you know that when Josh Allen did the point going into the end zone and got flagged, and the NFL used that to promote something and then realized the hypocrisy because they because they flagged Josh Allen. I don't think he got fined for that, but he got flagged for it. They realized the hypocrisy of that and pulled that post down. So as of now, this dude has been banned from the sideline. The good news, Tyreek Hill is going to pay his salary. Tyreek Hill says, I'm going to pay you whatever they were paying you. They are that good of friends already, so that part is cool. But Jeff Ketchum, if deserves matters, and if the NFL has half a brain in their head, this kid needs to be back on the sideline for Dolphins games immediately. Because once this story's out and you go see how good he is, go to Twitter. I'm at C Hastings OBL. Go look at the video he put together, the classy way he ate this thing. I mean, I wouldn't have been that classy at 20, Ketch. There's no way I would have been. He was nothing but classy. He said, I understand why they did what they did. It was a great opportunity. It was one of the best years of my life, and I'll move on and I'll deal with it. Y'all need to rehire that cat now, immediately. Put him back on the sideline right now.
I just can't be asked with the NFL sometimes, man.
Mm.
They just make it so hard to be likable. Why do they go out of their way to be so unlikable? Because they know this is going to get out.
Right. You would think. And I rewatched the video today to make sure, like, what did this kid do? Did he, like, taunt an opponent? Did he, like, walk out and, like, do the crotch, like the DX crotch move, to the DB or something? It was totally organic and awesome and ordinary. They both said they didn't plan it. Tyreek said it in the presser afterwards. He's like, man, he didn't know I was doing that, but that's my man. That's my man.
Harder on the photographer who didn't really do anything than we would be on one of our players if they beat a woman.
Yeah. I mean, it's goofy. Like, as much as I like him and he's one of my guys, Ketch, they let Myles Garrett play football again after what he did to Mason Rudolph. And I never thought I would see it. I'm like, wait a minute. Did he just take his helmet? Did he just rip the other dude's helmet off and beat him with it? Because that is what I think I just saw. And I remember thinking, wow, Myles may never play football again. I really thought it at the moment. I'm like, are they going to let him play again? Oh, yeah. He's been no problem.
He might be the poster boy for the league when it's all said and done. Like, we won't forgive anything other than apparently a photographer letting Tyreek Hill have his camera.
That's crazy. Ketch, whatever happened in Dallas with Von Miller, they're probably going to let him play next week when they come off the bye. But they're not going to let this 20-year-old kid get out there and take video of Tyreek Hill. That's crazy. So there you go. I can't come up with anything that's more crap baggy than that. That's garbage.
The only thing no, I won't say the only thing. Go ahead. I was about to make an over-the-top statement, and you know what? Given the world that we live in 2023, I won't make it.
Didn't want to go that far. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Oh my God.
I was going to mention those rat bastards at Oklahoma State that killed the Longhorn and dumped it in front of a frat house in Stillwater.
Yeah, I'm still working through the whole process of that kind of thing. And because, Ketch, you talked about Texas going into the SEC. One of the things that I've enjoyed about being a fan of a team that's now in the SEC, it's like, as an Aggie, I was an animal person to start with, right? Let me rephrase. I was a team who has an animal mascot, right? But I'm an animal lover. Do with that what you will, chat. But I've always been, I've raised around animals, dogs, and my grandfather was a farmer, cattle farmer. So I was around a lot of cows and, all the stuff when I was growing up. And certainly we're all adults enough to know what the cow thing is about and what happens and hamburgers and all that stuff. I get all that. But that level of cruelty for no reason, that level of just sinister activity for no reason is so disturbing. And like Ketch said earlier, man, if you find out your kids are involved in something like that, I do not know what I'd do. Forget about the fact that they do say that torturing and killing animals leads to really horrific things, with people. Forget that part. Just on its face, it's just so gross and wrong, and you shouldn't do it. And, as somebody who we're about to, that's very good. As we're about to go into this SEC world where, Aggies and Georgia and some other schools have, the dog mascots, and there's the tiger at LSU, and there's Bevo, the great mascot that's coming in that way. Like all that stuff I love about college sports. The idea that this even occurred to someone, Ketch, that it even popped into their head. I get why somebody might think, I'm going to kidnap Reveille or Bevo or whatever. That makes sense. Hey, Bill, let's see if we can get in the tiger thing and kidnap Mike the Tiger. I think that's insane, but I could at least understand the process of that. How do you sit around and think of this? That's goofy. If you're connecting it to this game in any way, which I guess they are, and you end up with that at 7 a.m. this morning, and I'm just I'm just a Stillwater cop, or I'm just an Oklahoma cop, Oklahoma State University PD. I'm just getting ready for Friday, man.
Just trying to get to the weekend.
Ketch, it's 7 a.m. I'm getting my coffee together. They got me working at Gallagher-Iba tomorrow. I'm going to be double-checking a game. My God, what call came in? Yeah, dude, we got a dead Longhorn at the frat house. A dead Longhorn, like a student? Why are you calling? No, not a student. A Longhorn is laying out in front. What? That's just.
Well, hold on. That's not all of it.
What? There's more?
Oh, remember, there's more. They wrote something into the side of the.
Oh, that's
Bevo,
right. And it's right. It says fuck FH. The farmhouse fraternity is where they left it. So that the fuck FH is on the animal's body, and they took its stomach out. There's like a big scar, and you can see where. Oh my God!
They basically gutted the animal.
They gutted the animal, laid it out right there, and wrote the message on it.
Tell you what, man. Careful, guys. If they're gonna find out who did this,
man,
good luck, fellas. Because there will be some people. I wanted to fight when I saw that.
Yeah,
I was like, you know what? Fuck those dudes, man. Like, who does that?
Yeah, that's bad. And by the way, this is what I would hope. Brandon says someone on Twitter said it was already dead on the kid's grandparents' farm, but still ridiculous. Let's hope the animal had already died separate from this. Obviously.
Well, and let's not be so fast and maybe give someone the very we're going to give the benefit of the doubt with the facts on this to the kind of person that would dump an animal.
Right. You're right. Yeah. No, let's
make sure.
No, it's horrible. Yes. So yes, I would hope that something like that would help explain it. But even if you do have that animal dead on a farm, the thought process, hey, you know what we should do? I don't know, take care of this before Granny and Grandpa get home. No. Hear me out. We should put this on the front lawn of that frat that we hate. What? Yeah.
there's more to, even if they didn't murder the animal to put it in that position, they carved up the animal and dumped it in a public space.
Yeah, you disgrace the animal after it's dead, and you dragged it to campus or hauled it to whatever you did. You threw it in a trailer, and oh my God. That's twisted, man. That is twisted.
By the way, what did I bring up?
Damn, Ketch, you got to bring up old shit. Oh, I'm assuming that's the 01 conversation. They asked him to go down memory lane.
Is that what he's talking about?
I would assume. That wasn't me. I didn't do that. Just in case y'all think I'm trying to be snark, that was me. That wasn't me. I didn't do that.
Someone paid for that.
Yeah, somebody paid for that.
That was El Presidente, wasn't it?
El Presidente did that. That is true. That is
Don't
true.
be mad at me because I didn't say, you know what? Here's what didn't happen. Chad and I didn't talk before the show today, and I didn't say, Chad, hey, I got a 2001 championship game story. It's about 15 minutes long, and I've been saving it for 22 years.
Nope, that didn't happen. That did not happen. No, that didn't happen. We appreciate all you jumping in the Specs chat, though, and trying to help us out. Just like this chatter, Ketch. He's going for the corner. Says it's Scottish guy time. Thank you, Corner, for reminding us we were going off on the weird Longhorn story. All right, Texas and Oklahoma State getting ready. Plus, there's some other news this week that might be pertinent. It's Scottish guy time on a Friday. Here we go. SG is brought to you by McCullough Heating and Air Conditioning. Winter is coming. With McCullough, you spend $39 to make sure you're running smooth. 518-0119 or coolmenow.com. Hit it. You're not the best, but you're the best that I can do. Before we get to the wrecking of tech and the upcoming title, the Aggies have made their choice. The new man is Mark Stoops. No, wait, College Station just melted. They'll just go with the Duke coach. Got to tell you, farmers, well played. Fire Jimbo in season and set a deadline you didn't have to. Then get attention from Day, Dabo, and who knows who else. Let it get out you're going with Stoops, then crumble under pressure of fan reaction. Stoops makes it look like he said no, and you go with a former assistant that's been a head coach for a cough. Well, at least you didn't have him sway back and forth at the press conference, right? So there's that. Moving on to Black Friday for Joey. Everybody and everything runs through Lubbock. Offense, defense, special teams, guys named Jet, and welcome to college football, Mr. Manning. Attention SEC in 2025 and 2026. He is coming for your souls. Now to the big spaceship at Jerry's house and the goal all along for these horns. Hey, Brett Yormark, how'd this whole thing work out for you? Your only hope for not having to hand that trophy to Sark is Gundy and a team that lost to South Alabama and UCF. No, seriously, they did. Good thing you'll have wrestling people there for distraction. You'll need every official getting knocked out by a chair while Ollie Gordon eye-pokes sweat on every run. It won't happen. This one can't be a work. It's a Lone Star steamrolling, leave no doubt, make the CFP fuck around and find out shoot. Enjoy the last day people care about your conference. UT 62, dead weight 3. This is SG, CHAMPS. Quinn Ewers with a chair. That's pretty solid.
Let me tell you what my favorite part of this week's Scottish guy was. He got a lot in. That's what she said. And sorry.
You couldn't even finish where you were going. He got a lot in a little time. That's what she said.
The thing is, I'm about to say the next thing, and I'm afraid to, okay? But,
It's not going to get any better.
well, if you forget about he got a lot in, and he kept it really tight. Like, that was a tight 215.
That is it. That is it. By the way, Ketch, right before we went to the Scottish guy, this chat came in. I hope the family of that particular Longhorn doesn't find it disrespectful, but come on now. Wearing the icy whites for Brownie, the white Longhorn. And this one says, a dead Longhorn wearing icy whites, too coincidental. Chris.
We're all going to hell.
Chris, we are all going to
I'm
hell.
glad I'm gonna have some friends with me because it's happening.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're gonna need a full cow trailer, I think, to get there. Oh my goodness.
But 2 hours later, Brownie the Longhorn is still a thing.
Brownie the Longhorn. Oh my God. So twisted, so wrong, so terrible. By the way, just a good reminder though that when I saw that story, it was obviously as horrific as it was and terrible as it was. It did make me think of Bevo, and I'm assuming Bevo's going to be there this weekend. This Bevo's last run in the Big 12, right? Ketch could be Bevo's last, or maybe it's not last trip to Jerry World, because Jerry World could be involved in some stuff.
Yeah,
like you hope not a Cotton Bowl if you're a Texas fan, but maybe. So Bevo's about to go to the SEC. That's going to be fun. Adding one of the classic mascots of all time.
You know what my favorite Bevo championship game story is?
The poops on the field against Nebraska.
Yeah. I didn't know that you even knew about that. Like,
oh yeah.
I didn't know. For those of you that don't know what happened in '99, Nebraska beat the living crap out of Texas.
They beat them bad.
So bad that the final score doesn't do the game justice.
True.
Because wasn't it like 22-6?
Yeah, it was something like that. There was the 96 when Texas pulled off the magic win against Nebraska. That was awesome. But then I think it was in 97 and 99 when A&M got beat one year by Nebraska. Texas got beaten another one, and neither game was pretty.
In the 99 game, they're taking Bevo out in the third quarter out of the Alamo Dome, right?
Correct.
And Bevo just took a crap in the end zone.
Yeah.
And it felt so symbolic for the overall piece of crap game that the Longhorns played that day.
Yeah. You know why I remember it so much, Ketch? It's because Bill Schoening and Craig Wade did a wonderful job of calling the moment. Like, I'll never forget as the way they call it. And I can't remember which one of them said it, but one of them said something to the effect of, Bevo has let his feelings about this game be known, or something like that. It was beautiful. And then there may have been even a reference to the game stinking, or just the performance wasn't up, whatever. It was perfect. And yeah, Bevo made his statement. That is easily the best Bevo championship game moment, even though it was in a loss, probably ever.
It doesn't get better than that. And honestly, fans felt Bevo. It was like Bevo channeled the angst in the stadium and dropped it all in the end zone.
Yeah. Ketch, we have a third hour mention of Portal Combat. Portal Combat, Super Chat, $5. Check transfer portal again. 2 Sooners, tight end, and one other just announced they are entering the portal. Maybe Texas can steal one or both.
Well, the problem is now you're going to make me look it up. Can you tell me some names?
Yeah, do you have any names?
Here.
Do you have any names, Kevin? Can we at least let's throw it at him. Blake, the producer, let's give him a little Portal Combat. Finish him.
Round 1. Fight. Finish him.
It's that part is perfect.
That really is the best part. We just need to record you and me doing our best maniacal laughs and just have Blake lay it in there on top of that.
I mean, I said I wanted it to feel like it was coming straight from Satan, and it does.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find. I'm looking. I don't see anything from OU in the portal.
They're saying Tyree, the running back.
I saw that. Yeah, okay.
He's in the portal. Walker, the running back, and
That didn't just happened.
Tyree Walker, and I don't know who the.
I think the tight end is Jason Llewellyn. Is that
Yes, and what's funny about that guy is he's the guy, for those of you that remember, I got mocked over this one. So like 2 Januaries ago, Chad,
Uh-huh.
I decided I was going to just like make some speculative future cast predictions. And Llewellyn had just visited Texas, was like talking it up, like he'd gone out of his way, I think, to go to a junior day. And I was like, oh, that guy fits the profile of a guy that will end up at Texas. So I put in a future cast for him to go to Texas, and he literally committed to Oklahoma like 8 hours later.
Damn.
And so then had a couple of people who were like, well, this is going to be, I'm going to mock Ketch for doing like, it's like, dude, you got suspended for like porn. So like, let's not go crazy over that. I missed a future cast, but yes, that happened. That's what he's most famous for, I think, is that I made an ass out of myself in predicting that he would go to Texas 5 seconds before he committed to Oklahoma. Ta-da!
There it is. Timing. You can't, sometimes you can't account for timing. Thank you for that super chat. If nothing else, it got us to play the intro, which is always good. All right, hang on. This, I think, is for me. $4.99 from the Google Scholar. Ketch, whatever we do, don't Google Afghan sheep, and definitely don't show Chad. Okay, yeah, don't do that. Whatever that is, that might freak everybody out. Thank you, Google Scholar. We appreciate your concern.
What's the big deal?
They are concerned about me. They believe that the imagery of sheep or the discussion of sheep would somehow trigger like moments from my past, college memories, things like recruiting trips, things like that. That's what they believe. I can't confirm or deny
because
that.
They've got fat tails.
The sheep do.
I mean, I Googled Afghan sheep because I was told not to. Like,
right?
You had to know.
Sure.
And all of the pictures of the sheep are from behind.
That's interesting. Okay, so then the Afghan sheep having a thicker tail would be like the opposite of an Afghan hound, which generally has a thinner tail. The Afghan hound, more of a lean dog.
They do have big asses.
Okay.
I will say that. Like, there's a lot of ass on these sheep.
I think I know the comment that the folks on the chat are trying to make. I think I can get that. I think I can get that case solved. Ketch hunting it down immediately. Yes, JDH. What? Look, earlier.
Whatever you do, Ketch, don't do this.
Earlier, we talked about this guy over here and his making himself a CBD shop to compete with Rogue accidentally. We need you to go vote for Rogue. Remember, vote for Rogue for the best CBD shop in their area. But Ketch made a mistake there. But normally, he is one of the most proficient people online that I have ever known. And he is certainly one of the best multitaskers I've ever been around. So be sure that at any given moment of this show, you can just think to yourself, I don't know if Ketch is listening to Chad right now. That may be partially true. But the reason is not just because he's sitting there thinking, this dude's an idiot. No, it's that he's doing like 7 things at the same time. And you just aren't seeing all of the magic. He is like David Copperfield disappearing the Statue of Liberty, and you just don't appreciate what's going on. That's what's happening.
I love that I used to play online poker at the same time we did a show, and all these years later, it's just multitasking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot. We can't account sometimes for what those tasks are.
I feel like I no longer task in a way that would upset you.
I don't know that I was upset then. I mean,
the look on your face at times suggested not upset, but like, I think there was an initial level of disrespect, like it was about you. And now all these years later, you realize, oh, like he would, in theory, insult anybody he was sitting 3 feet from while doing a show by not being 100% focused on what the two of us are doing together.
Yeah, no, that's probably fair. But also, I also had a healthy dose at that time of two important factors. Number one, I had been told that it was your show. And number two, you were fitting the financial bill for some things going on around that situation. So I thought, well, hell,
he's paying for it with this online poker.
I know exactly. I know that those things are true. So if I want to keep myself going,
I wasn't paying your salary, to be fair.
Right. Exactly.
I was paying the boss's salary.
That's it. A, I don't want to piss him off. And B, I really hope he's got a flush right now. Like, that's what I was thinking.
I wasn't paying for you, but I was paying for the guy that hired both of us, weirdly. It was a unique set of circumstances back in the day.
I didn't know all the particulars. I just knew it might be helpful if you won a hand or two that day. That's all I know. That's all I know. We've all got a hand on the table at some point. That's what we know. All right. It is House Divided on this Friday. Ketch, I only had one other thing I wanted to mention today. Did you have anything else you want to mention today?
Oh, let me think about this for a second. Again, I can't stress enough. I'm pumped up about tonight. I'm pumped up about all of tomorrow. But everything's stacked up in a way where we get tonight kind of by itself. We get the Texas-Oklahoma State game early tomorrow. We can get that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
We can watch the SEC championship game without anything distracting us.
Yeah.
And it can just be a badass football game.
And it will be.
And then tomorrow night, like the moment of truth, potentially, the entire country will be watching to see if Florida State gives it up.
Yeah. All right. So let's roll through them in order. Washington or Oregon?
I mean, I'm picking Washington to win the game.
Okay. I am too. So Texas.
And I think, real quick,
yeah,
I'm picking them because I think they've been disrespected. I think there's a freedom that comes with playing mad because you feel disrespected. And absolutely. I think a couple of teams may harness that this weekend.
Yeah, if DeBoer has not played for them, every clip of Desmond Howard, Kirk Herbstreit, and Urban Meyer saying they were the worst team in a game they won at home in a close game, I would just play it over and over and over and over again. I'm with you on that one. We both think Texas is winning. Ketch has got 34-17. I got 35-20. So give me your Georgia-Bama winner.
I'm going to pick Georgia. I have a healthy amount of respect for Alabama, enough that I think they could win the game tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But Georgia's plus 70-something in their 3 toughest games of the season. So what we do know of this Georgia team is that when it goes into a game thinking there's a challenge, they've not only risen to the challenge, they've battered those that dared challenge them senseless. So I think that's the Georgia we get tomorrow. I think Georgia wins 31-27.
31-20. That'd be a great game. Like you said, it's going to be great either way. By the way, before we wait, where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Sorry. $4.99 super chat from Russ. Did y'all hear about the dead Longhorn cow on the Oklahoma State campus? Now it's personal. Yes, Russ, we've been talking about that today. The question is, who's it personal for? Oklahoma State fans are trying to argue it's for them, but will Texas be able to somehow use that as a personal thing? Like Ketch, we haven't even talked about that part. Would you use that if you're Sark? Would you try to figure out a way to use a story that weird to motivate a football team?
No.
Because I would think I would.
I would do some of this stuff during the week, but honestly, tomorrow it's about what we can accomplish.
I honestly like the idea better of, again, what was in the war room, orangebloods.com every Thursday night. What Anwar had in the war room this week about that little the Gundy stuff. That's football crap. That's like usable football crap that should get Baron Sorrell, Anthony Hill, Ethan Burke should piss them
But
all
I
off.
think that was almost about Sweat and Murphy as much as anything else, because what he says is we could double team them or we could just block them like we always do.
Yeah, you're right. It was a little bit of both. It was we could double team them and let the outside guys come, which again tells me you're insulting my DNs a little bit. And then he added, right, or we could just do what we've done for 15 years, just block them. And that's what I would put back into 90 and 93's head. Like, fellas, that's for you. He's saying you're easy to block.
I don't know why people keep trying to poke those two beasts.
Yeah, I love it. If I'm Texas fans, I love that they are. Just like if I'm a Washington fan, I love that my undefeated football team has an edge somehow, that they've been able to build this edge even though they're undefeated. So, yes, Texas goes into this thing with a lot to prove, a big stage by themselves. That'll be fun. So I'm assuming you've got Michigan by a chunk.
31-0.
31-0. No, not even points for Iowa.
31-0.
Ketch, I have a lot of dreams about tomorrow. The one dream I hope comes true. The thing I hope most of all, close to our situation, is I hope Texas gets it done, and I hope they find a way into the playoff. But secondarily, God, I want Iowa to lead 10-0. I just want Iowa to get a weird, I want like a block punt for a touchdown, right? First drive of the game. Then I want them to just squirrely find a field goal. And I want social media to have to react to like 10-0 Iowa, and Jim Harbaugh standing in his Lululemons on the sideline looks like he's about to completely crap himself. That's what I want. Just for a second. Even if it ends up 58-10, I want it to be 10-0 for that long.
Chad wants that, and I want to remind all of you guys what I said earlier in the week. Should that game be close, don't invest emotionally until you're at least 5 minutes into the fourth quarter. If there's 10 minutes to go and it's 13-13, then do it.
Absolutely.
But
it could be.
If there's 7 minutes to go in the third quarter, wait. Because you could blink and suddenly it's 31-13. And I don't know that I'm trying to protect Longhorn fans from their feelings. My dread is that Texas loses this weekend. Oh, sure. God help us all. But is that this season doesn't feel like awesome anymore on Monday.
Right.
After the Oklahoma game, you and I were still thinking, okay, well, you lost, but this still has a chance to be an awesome season. And you can win all of your games pretty easily and, play Oklahoma again. And we didn't think for a second that Texas was out of anything. And Texas fans acted like their world had ended. So, I just want to emerge from this weekend not in that place that Texas fans were after the Oklahoma game, when they acted like everything else was for nothing. This season, if they're 12-1 on Sunday and they don't make the playoff, this season wasn't for nothing. And you shouldn't feel that way.
Yeah. I like this score right here. Can we get this? 16-14 Iowa. Christopher, I hope so. And just to make sure we're all going to hell, Teta adds in #WinForBrownie is trending. All right. See, that's rude. It's completely rude. We didn't need that. But Ketch, once we get to
we did.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think Michigan gets it done, and I think it's like I don't know. I think it's like 38-10, 35-10, something like that. But when Texas fans get done with their game, if they've handled their business and you get into that evening set, man, it's all bet on black for me. It's black and yellow and it's black and red. And Ketch, those defenses are nasty. They're going to try to make it physical and ugly. We all need to hope for like bad SEC games from 15, 20 years ago. That's what you need to hope they turn into, because that will make the committee recoil. That will make those old people go to bed early and maybe remember nothing but Texas from the early part of the day. Let's see if Iowa and Louisville can do it. I'm going to say Louisville does it, Ketch. I think Louisville beats Florida State and gets Texas into this thing. Would you agree, or do you still like Florida State, even if it's a third-string quarterback?
I'm going with the disrespect. Those Florida State players, they won't play with pressure. I think they'll play with anger. I think they will play to lash out. I almost think there's a better chance that they lose that game if Jordan Travis is healthy, because then you can underestimate Louisville. Then you can, we're used to seeing teams drop some of these games occasionally. Every once in a while, believe it or not, before 2023, teams in the top 8 would lose games unexpectedly. I almost think that they could have the Texas trap factor, which is you're talking about the playoff, you're focused on something other than the actual game, and you get bit in the ass. I think to a man, everybody but those quarterbacks will be thinking, I'm doing my job. I'm winning my battle. Mm-hmm. And if you get a team full of guys that go in and say, fuck all that noise. I'm doing my job today. I'm winning my battle. I'm whipping somebody's ass. And your running backs are running harder. And your wide receivers are blocking harder. Florida State all season long has been the team that everybody's been waiting to see slip up. Ever since that Boston College game, Absolutely. There's been a sense that, Florida State's going to drop one.
Yep.
They'll not be ready on one Saturday, and they'll lose. And they've had a little bit of the Washington thing at parts of the season where it felt like the weight of just going undefeated can be so strong. I think this weekend they're aggrieved. I think this weekend they feel like, man, they have won a season and a half's worth of games in a row, and nobody thinks they belong. This is a team that gets to play the disrespect card in a way that not even Washington get to play. There are people who are like, Florida State sucks so bad that even if they win, they shouldn't be in the playoff. What that would do to me if I was on that team would make me angry. I can remember just even in high school athletics, what it felt like to feel disrespected and how it made your focus a little bit more laser tight, and that it made your ability from play to play at a high level, at that, that great play that coaches will show and say, okay, now do that again. I know you can do it, but you did it on this play and you didn't do it 3 plays in a row. The ability to be able to do that, Florida State, man for man, is better than Louisville. If we looked at these two teams and said, how many players from Louisville start on this Florida State team, I don't know that it's more than a handful. But we're going into this game where a lot of people are picking Louisville. Probably shouldn't say everybody, because I'm going to pick Florida State. I think they survive. I don't think they blow the doors off of Louisville. But I think we see a mature, hungry football team that we will talk about afterwards whether or not it's good enough. Was what we saw good enough? Are they one of the 4 best teams? That conversation will continue, but I think they find a way to get a W, something along the lines of 24-20.
Okay. So basically, if all that happens, your predictions would lead us to chalk, 4 undefeateds in, and when we hit at 10:45 Sunday morning, the only thing for Texas fans to figure out is who you playing in the Cotton Bowl.
Unless you can navigate a conversation where is 12-1 and a championship and healthy. If you're Sark, name check Florida State. Say out loud in the middle of the Florida State game, you know what? If Boo was sitting here right next to me, I would ask him, who do you think would be favored by Vegas?
Right.
If we played this Florida State team tomorrow.
Yeah. Remember the politicking Nick Saban did last year to try to get in. Even though he had 2 losses, he was trying to be the first 2-loss team in. He was making all those trying to go football logic. If you put us on the field with this team, what would you do? We only lost by this much to that. He was trying everything he could think of. Right at the end.
I would make if I would make it personal even before I need to make it personal. I would call out Florida State and say, there's no way that any of you can look me in the eye and tell me that either you or Vegas would favor us in a head-to-head matchup. And if you wouldn't favor us in a head-to-head matchup, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Because you're no longer talking about getting the 4 best teams in. You're talking about getting the 4 undefeated teams in. And that's not the same thing as getting I'm telling you, I'd be spitting bars if I'm Sark. And if people think you're an asshole on Saturday night because you picked on the poor team playing the 3rd string quarterback, hey, man, they don't pay your bills.
Yeah. And for anybody that would tell me no matter what happens with the Florida State game, the Texas score does not matter at that point, that's where I'd say you're not paying attention.
Well, and that's where Sark would really need to say, did you see what we just did?
Right. Theirs can't be 24-20 if that's the case, right? His argument has to have like a scene from True Blood in it that he's pointing to, right? It has to be like one of the final scenes of Carrie or something in a war movie where he goes, that's what we did. Did you see what they did? You want to put that in the playoff instead of what my guys just did?
We're playing our best football of the season last 2 weeks.
Right.
Championship game the week before. We are peaking. Well, forget about Florida State. Bring on Georgia. We ain't scared of anybody.
Right.
We beat Alabama as bad as I would be saying it all. Wait, Georgia's in? Because Georgia just beat Alabama. We beat them in Alabama by double digits. I would say I'd be wilding out there on these streets.
Yeah.
And Sark can't count on us, the local. You can't count on Jeff Ketchum and Kirk Bowles and Anwar Richardson to politic for you. We're not going to be interviewed at halftime or in the middle 3rd quarter of any of these games. You know, and you need to let everybody know I'm available.
Yeah, good point. Good point. And remember, if something gets weird tomorrow night, we will jump on with Orange Bloods Live. We're definitely on tomorrow at 10:45 a.m., getting ready for the watch-along with the Big 12 championship game. And 10:45 on Sunday morning, Orange Bloods Live is going to fire up with the CFP announcement show to get ready. Well, what's going to happen? They're going to announce all the big stuff like 11:15. We'll be on talking about it with Orange Bloods Live. So get those notifications, like, subscribe. We're heading up towards 18,000 subscribers. Ketch, you got anything else today?
I would just say, man, you seen who Sark's married to, right?
I have.
And we saw back in the day, like when Mac hooked up with Sally Brown and she was like a bazillionaire real estate agent queen, and Mac Brown threw those recruiting skills and got married to Sally Brown. And we've seen Sark get married to L'Oreal Sarkeesian. And we know that he can spit game. Look who he's married to.
Yep.
Show us, Sark. Spit that game. It worked for Mac Brown once upon a time. And these are by any means necessary times to get into the playoff. Don't be afraid to lean into being the loud guy. In America in 2023, being loud can sometimes go a long way.
Yeah.
You know what doesn't go a long way? Waiting for others to do the thing for you.
Yep. By the end of that game tomorrow, Catch, if it looks the right way, they need to do those 3 magical words, those 2 magical words that I've been telling them for years. Be Texas. Or if you want 3, just be Texas.
I'd be like, you know what? Everybody in this playoff wants to play Florida State. I'll let you ask yourself why. Ain't nobody want to play Texas.
That's a good way to say it.
Not the team anybody wants to play.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a great point. All 3 of those other teams, they'll be happy to see that spear on the helmet. I don't think they want to see our Longhorn. That's just my thought.
You tell me whether or not that makes us better, but everybody's begging to play the spear. Everybody's
Yeah.
Not begging so much to get a piece of the Longhorns.
In fact, you could probably use the sideline reporter or whoever's asking you the question because they'll go silent. They'll say, hey, Sark, what case would you make? Blah, 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 blah. And all he has to say is, I'd ask you, who would you rather play, Florida State or us? And then they won't answer because they'll be taken aback by it. And Sark can say, exactly. Next question. And then just let it be, right? Let it be. We'll see what happens over the weekend. Real quick, Ketch, before we get out of here, can I just do just this much bragging on the Dallas Cowboys? Just this much?
Sure.
Because there's a lot of people that are going to make jokes about last night and all this. I'm just trying to like this team because I kind of do. And I'm also trying to find the good stuff with this team. I'm kind of proud of them for last night because they won a real football game. Let me just throw some quick numbers. Total offense, 5. By the way, the Texans are 6 in the NFL right now. Dak Prescott, 2nd in passer rating in the entire NFL. He is 5 spots better than Jackson. He is 8 spots better than Mahomes. By the way, CJ Stroud is 6, Texans fans. Dak Prescott is completing 70% of his passes right now. 41 attempts last night, and it felt like it made sense. He is making some good decisions throwing the ball. They are a pass-first team. Clearly, McCarthy lied about running. That's good news. I like McCarthy as a play caller right now. I kind of like the way this team feels. CeeDee Lamb feels like a 1. Jake Ferguson feels like he stepped up at tight end. And I know it's freakish, but 4 straight home games where you score 40 or more. The last team to do it was the best show on turf Rams. And before that, it was like some team in the 60s. So they're doing impressive stuff. Here's the other thing. The last 2 Decembers, the Cowboys are 8-1. Last 9 December games. It used to be this is when we would all go, oh, hell, here's where the Cowboys fall apart. 8-1 these last 2 years. The next 4 weeks, Philly at home, at Buffalo, at Miami, and Detroit at home. You know what, Cowboys? The other fans won't say this out loud, but I will. I can't wait. I can't wait to see how you stack up. You may not ultimately get there, but damn it, I like you. I'm rooting like hell. I'll live or die with you. You go be the circus you're going to be. But I'm with you this year. I'm going to take this that I'm seeing. I'm going to enjoy it. I know what it could be. Trust me, I know. But I'm going to give you your love right now because you're playing some pretty damn good football in some key moments. There you go. There it is. There's a little bragging. I got to do a little bit. I didn't go out of whack. I didn't go above board. I like this team right now. And everybody's talking about the wrong things with them, man. They're playing some good football. Let's see what they look like against the Eagles.
May I retort? May I retort?
You may.
It's amazing what this team has done to us over the decades that I heard you in December say, I'm proud of these Cowboys because they beat an actual NFL team.
No, I said they won a real NFL game. They haven't had many of those this year. There haven't been enough to find out because they've been freaking people on one side and getting freaked a couple times on the other. I just need to see some reality there.
How low is the bar that we're dishing out pride because they beat a 6-5 team?
No, I'm not moving the bar. See, that's where it gets misinterpreted. Is what Longhorn fans can do too. Cowboys fans are guilty of it. We all do. We do this. I'm not changing the bar, Ketch. I'm just trying to appreciate what I'm seeing. It's like the Dabo appreciation.
I'm happy they won. I didn't think to myself, God damn, they made me proud tonight. I'm proud to be a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
No, instead I was like, Jesus, they almost blew that. What the hell is McCarthy thinking? Seriously, I hate that it impacted my ability to enjoy the win last night, but that third down decision, I've realized nothing makes me angrier in 2023 than poor game management from coaches.
Oh, I agree with that. I guess I'm just trying to embrace the song that the Scottish guy referenced this week. They may not be the best, but they're the best that we can do. And I kind of like them. I know how it ends. I just kind of like them right now because they're better than I thought they'd be. I think that's it, Ketch. They are better than I thought they would be.
But they weren't last night.
Oh, yeah, they were. They absolutely were. Yes. Once they got themselves into that situation, I thought, okay, They could lose it. The play you talked about could cost them, but it didn't. They found their way out of it. They won the game. I was happy.
Hey, well, thank God they didn't block Micah Parsons on the game-defining play. I don't know how that happened. Actually, someone showed me the video. Apparently, the Seahawks did that on purpose. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. Well, the plan was that's the best way to defend Micah Parsons' catch, a running back on the other side of the play. You didn't know that? That's the secret ingredient.
I love it when teams will say out loud, well, our plan was to not block him, but then we were going to throw the ball over his head, and then there wasn't going to be anybody there.
Yeah.
Great strategy.
And also, before everybody thinks I've gone completely crazy, last night was also a good example of in the NFL, sometimes it's good when the other team is a little crazier than you are sometimes. Because the Seahawks did give us a couple moments of like, oh, I know that, of a couple minutes of Spider-Man pointing at himself. That did happen.
If Gundy wants to not block T'Vondre Sweat a few times tomorrow, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Oh, free run and Sweat. I've heard that's the way to defend Texas. I've heard that's the way to game scheme Texas. Just don't worry about 93.
Don't block Anthony Hill either if you're out there taking requests.
0 and 93. Free on every play. Free them up.
All right. Good. I'm ready to go into this weekend and watch some football.
Let's do it. Football with Friends is coming up at 3:30. We will be on the watch along tomorrow morning at 10:45, getting ready for Texas and Oklahoma State. Thank you all for your support. Like, subscribe, and get those notifications because we may have to throw some extra shows at you this weekend. We'll also hit you 10:45 a.m. on Sunday morning. Orange Bloods Live. Be a part of it. orangebloods.com and all the other stuff as well. Thank you so much for all of your support out there. Thanks to Blake, the super producer, for all his great work. We will talk to you Monday at noon. Let's hope it's the best version of House Divided. See ya.